Are you ready for some holiday cheer and silver lining celebration? Our guest will lighten your mind, bring joy to your heart, and lift your holiday spirits. Clink, clink, and stay tuned for the Startup Life Live Show. Hello and happy holidays, everyone. Oh my gosh, so good to see you. Remember, it's BYOB tonight. I'm your host, Ande Lyons, and I'm a startup coach to first-time founders. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I now help newly minted business owners sleep through the night. How? Because I give them peace of mind. I help them with their business because I know what startup founders go through and I make it easier for them. So I am so grateful you carved out time to tune in and share your holiday cheer with us tonight. Please be sure to like the video. And if you're watching from YouTube, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. All right, so I am so excited to introduce you to our guest this evening. It's the one, the only Mia Voss. I'm going to pick up some photos here so you can get a good feeling for how this woman vibes. Look at this. Come on. This is just... What doesn't this multi-talented fab female founder do? She is a super opinionated lifestyle blogger, a mouthy activist, a trusted brand ambassador, and popular podcaster. And for almost 20 years, Mia's been bossing construction crews around as a building inspector. Yeah, that's right. This goddess wears many hats, including a hard hat. Now, that's not all that she does. She's also really into being a cheerleader for the things that she loves. I just want to share this. This is her Mia Voss Live. Look at all these locations. I mean, my God, this woman is so busy out there changing the world, but she also cares deeply about what's going on, and she loves to bring a voice for things that need attention. So she's going to be sharing this with us tonight. That's right. But what we don't talk about, woo, baby. That's going to be good times for all. Will you please join me in welcoming the marvelous Mia Voss? Hey, Mia, welcome to the show.
Yeah, me chuckling in the background at my own stuff. And when you say marvelous, it's so good.
Marvelous, Mia Voss. Now, guys,
thank you.
Everybody tuning in, I want you to know the last time Mia and I got together was exactly 6 years ago. Look at us. We haven't changed a bit.
Not a bit. And it was December 23rd.
That's right.
2014, girl.
Oh my gosh. And what we were talking about, folks, was how, overnight successes usually take a good 10 years. Anybody relate to that? Give us a clink, clink.
And now we're at 16 years from of the 10
the overnight success.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. But that was so much fun. And folks, I met Mia on Google+. So if you played on Google+, please be sure to share that with us in the comment threads, because those were wild days. We did live streaming. You would have a whole crowd in your room. You were amazing.
That was and as were you and are you. Like, how fun that we've transitioned. But when you think about it, we were super old school,
right?
Of that, because this was 2013, 2014 when we were doing live streaming. Now, of course, the biggest change was this, because you weren't necessarily doing it on this once Periscope and Meerkat came around. But
right.
I love how you've transitioned, because we used to be able to have applause. The clapper.
I know. Folks, we're streaming live on the amazing platform StreamYard, and they will have that audio capability any moment now, so that I can press a button and it'll applaud. And that's the beauty of StreamYard, is everything is in here. I just press buttons and things go. It's wonderful. But we are streaming live tonight across LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch, because why not Twitch? You don't want to leave Twitch out. People are doing things, maybe the gamers need a little bit of a break.
They do.
And
AOC's over on Twitch, like people are getting on all the platforms.
absolutely. And I just want to say tonight, we have a special deal with toast. Always toast before you drink. And these are incredible
We didn't plan
homeopathic.
it, but it's so perfect for me.
Right? And can we just have a clink clink, Mia?
Yes,
Right
clink, clink, darling.
here? Let me just get this over to you. Boom.
Clink.
There we go.
Thank you.
It's not a Friday night, it's a Tuesday night, but it's the holidays.
It is.
And we're here to have a great conversation. I couldn't think of anyone better to bring on the show and grab some BYOB holiday libation than you, Mia Voss, because you have this unique ability. And we're going to talk about this during the show, folks. Mia's unbelievable ability to relate as a live stream host. She goes up live. Here, I'm going to bring you into full screen. She goes up live in front of folks. She's got the dog. She's got her other animals. There's
Lumbar Frenchie.
And you just have this ability to talk and relate and talk about things that are going on in folks' lives. I'm really, really impressed. Look who it is. Oh my gosh. Dr.
Oh my gosh. Now this is old school. Oh my gosh. I mean, we go to the way back. And all these relationships are so strong because then I ended up meeting Tammy and Bill Reed, who both of them I'm still really good friends with. We met up in DC where they both were after meeting through Google+. And then Randy Spite is a good friend of hers who is so supportive and so sweet and just a huge fan of Dr. Tammy. So look at how it still comes around.
It really does. And Dr. Tammy, I just want to say, I'm keeping you up here. Thank you so much for all the love and support you and your amazing practice on Instagram give me and all the good work that you continue to put out. It's awesome sauce. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for that. Mm-hmm. Mia, one of the things I would love to do in 2021 is to create a video where a woman gets ready for a live stream versus when a guy gets ready for a live stream. So can you see the camera following the gal around, the hair and the eye up and with the lips and the guy going, and I know I'm not talking to all you men, but
right.
Most of the guys would be like, well,
let's sort of slide in, right?
This is feeling good. Let me just put a baseball cap on. I'm good. Let's go.
And it's funny with us doing this live streaming for so long, it's such a new thing for people with Zoom and, being on these Zoom calls, you and I are like, what? And I used to have what's on the bottom was the big joke for my show because we would do the live streams and then, kind of surprise people like, all right, you got to stand up. And, luckily I didn't get any crazy surprises, but, this has been going on for years.
Lower third, folks.
That's right.
The real one. The real one. So one of the things we want to know tonight is, of course, because this is a holiday cheer. We're talking about silver linings and in BYOB. We want to know what's in your BYOB. Mm-hmm. So do not hesitate to share what you are consuming this evening. What have you got there, Mia?
Well, I went double fisted. This is called the Mia Connect, by the way. I went on brand. Because I love bubbles. When I did my first travel blogging experience going to Italy, it was all over but the shouting. Once I figured out about Prosecco, it made me so happy.
Put a full screen so we can see those. Let me see. That's a beautiful. I buy those by the little ones. I love La Marca.
I love that they have the little ones, even though I'm going to drink them all. I still feel like I'm playing the game. Right. And then I love that, I'm here in Colorado, so we're sort of low on ice. So I just went out in the backyard and got the snow.
Perfect.
Yes, ma'am. Yay. And then the other thing that I love bubbles, not a beer fan except for stout. So this Fabuloso right here is a chocolate stout that I'm going to bust down too, because I love to double fist and call that the Mia Connect, the bubbles and the stout.
Oh my gosh.
Be loaded by the end of this. So stay tuned.
What did we on that one? I don't know if anybody watches the hashtag I mom so hard. These two moms are amazing, but they start drinking and they start shooting.
They're funny.
And one of them is like, I'm feeling really attractive right now. And that's what can happen. That's what can happen.
Yes,
but also, Mia and I talk about this a lot. This is how we can also find connection, especially when we're far away from folks, when we can't see folks and hurl in real life, hug in real life. These live stream events are where you can pop into the comment threads, give a hug. And in the case of the Startup Life live show, it's all about sharing the name of your business and the URL so I can pull it up on the screen.
Yeah.
So I just want to remind everybody, be sure to post your business name and website so we can do a quick shout out.
Please.
And congratulate you, just like we just did with Dr. Tammy.
Yes.
And then, you know, the whole purpose of our show tonight, Mia, is that you and I, you know, we are very empathic people. We have felt the pain of this year in our hearts and soul.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah. And so, but we've noticed that in between these stories of devastation and hardship, people are sharing these silver thread, these silver lining moments. Every time I talk to some, yeah, but you know, the silver lining is, and I'm like, wow,
yeah,
unbelievable. So pivots have happened. We've had, let me just bring up this one too. We have had, let's see. Oh yeah. We've had switcheroos this year.
This graphic. That's so sweet. And you look so adorable. So I was like, okay, whatever she tells me to do. And I love that, the switcheroo.
You know, switcheroos happen. We want to hear about that. But we do want to hear your silver lining story in the comment threads. I know, for example, one of my guests, John D'Amato, who is a photographer in New York City, he got COVID like immediately.
Wow.
And taken down. And this is a guy who is a professional photographer. That's his line of work. Nobody's meeting in person. And here we go, right? So what does he do? He's at some Zoom meeting and he starts taking pictures of folks. It's an organization he belongs to. And then he shares it and they went crazy. And he didn't just take a, like I do, a screen shot. He was like from this angle and then up like this and down like this and capturing beautiful photos. So I'm hoping John swings by and shares more about how his entire business pivoted from that alone.
Yeah.
And
serving, and he's still serving.
Right.
He's serving. And I love that you said switcheroo with attitude. That was good too. You snuck that in there in the description.
Absolutely. Attitude has, you need that. And speaking of deliciousness, No Fall.
Hi.
Hola to you.
Cheers.
There we go. Cheers. Ooh. So phenomenal. Phenomenal man. No Fall is a founder. He had a business, cashed out. Now he supports other founders through mentorship, through investment. He is beloved by so many people. And he really, No Fall, you make my heart sing. You make many other folks sing. So happy holidays. Ho, ho, ho. To you and your beautiful family. I know you're just down the road, but still, I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for stopping by and saying hi. You're the best.
You have such a great supportive audience as well. So I was telling Ande before we started in the green room that I've been watching your shows with all of these founders, and a couple of times I've been on the job site, right? So I've got the phone over here and I'm like, yes, just kind of hollering across the room. And then I hear you shout folks out like your friend, like No Fall as well. So it's kind of neat to see everybody show up.
Thank you, Mia.
Yeah.
And here's another favorite. And I got to tell you, you will love Eric. He started his own show every Wednesdays. It's just called Wednesdays at 1. And he'll have some rappers on. He'll have people talking about wine. He'll have people talking about cooking, politics, whatever. But what Eric does brilliantly, Mia, is helping founders, CEOs, people in positions of leadership and authority be ready when that mic gets stuck in their face. Wow. So that they are media prepared. So no matter what, you are like ready to let it rip on your brilliance as, again, a leader or anything. But he came up with some switcheroo moments. So Eric, if you want to share some of your silver lining moments, I got to tell you, again, here he is. You're someone who works with folks personally.
I always have a notepad of like, because people say the coolest stuff, and I want to know, oh, what he said.
Absolutely. So anyway, folks, if you want to be prepared when that mic, whether it's like this live or in person, or that journalist is like, hey, and wants to get the scoop from you, Eric is your person.
And all of the world is one big set of ears right now, so you better be ready, right?
And we got to say hi to the goddess who makes me look so good, Nikki Pasquier. How are you, Ande and me? I'm just checking in. I've been watching. Apollo 13. That is a solve that problem. We've got a problem, Houston.
Right. And it really is. How inspiring is that? Nikki, it's nice to see you.
So good to see you. Thanks for all you do. And anybody, if you need some branding and Canva work or want to know how to do it yourself, get on Nikki's YouTube channel. Seriously, she will teach you how to do it all. Phenomenal. And okay, Eric, I appreciate this. Here we go. Silver lining. Never really live streamed before. Now I have a full live stream studio in my house and a weekly live show.
There it is.
There we go.
It is.
And you also found some clever ways to keep business rolling through. So I got to tell you, when you're your own founder, it can be a little challenging. And we will first say, hello, Diane.
Hey, Diane.
Don't you love her Christmas outfit in that photo?
I do. Miss Photopad. I met her through Anne Wen. I think she'd been on her show. Anne was my third guest on my podcast as well. Anne is out of Houston and does a lot of social media. So, I mean,
she's amazing. Yes. I remember her from the Google Plus days. Absolutely. Yeah. And Diane and I met her, I think from the, 30-Second Mom in 2011 on Twitter. And folks, Diane has this amazing platform called photopad.co. Go check it out. If you are a small business, this is the platform for you. She makes it really easy. If you're very busy, you only have so many hands and so many people to get the good stuff out. Diane's platform will help you do it. And she has really great initiatives to make it easy for you too. So happy holidays.
Yes.
Goddess Diane.
Cheers, love.
My text automatically, if I type in goddess, Diane shows up as the next word. That's how long I've been calling Diane goddess.
Which I love. I got to tell you, this is fun because I get so excited about the things I love and the people I love. So then to be here on with you, it's like superpower. So talk about all the stuff we love for like 4 hours, I swear.
Exactly. So remember, we want to know about your silver lining moments. We want to know what's in your BYOB. Eric, you drinking yet? I mean, it is 6 o'clock after 6 here in Boston. I don't know. Anyway, I do want to start talking a little bit about you, Mia. So first of all, let everybody know where you're hailing from.
I am in Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And who had the best shot ever of the conjunction last night?
Girl, I got to tell you, I was so excited to get out there. Hopefully it was me.
Yes.
Well, and I got kind of robbed this summer. We had that comet that kind of rolled through. I was out there chasing that thing like a storm chaser, trying to find it all summer. I got really interested in constellations and planets this year because, we all have time on our hands. So like, for instance, I've got this fun app, darling, that I just love. There's Star Trekker and Star View.
I love that. So when you look up in the sky, right, you can see.
Listen to this. Listen to the music it plays.
Okay.
Hold on. Oh, and then it just tells you where everything is. So we were just so fascinated last night with the junction of the two planets. They were just kind of hanging out with each other. Oh my goodness. And it was so fun because I told Charley, and he knows how busy I get. I get so excited about something and then something else distracts me and I hear beep, beep, and he got me a roadie. And he got me in the car and we drove out and looked where we could really see the two planets. And it was just so magical. And I know we can still see it tonight. What a magical time right now. I mean, we had solstice yesterday. That was so rich and yummy and such a great change. And Age of Aquarius now, I'm all about that. So here we go.
And founders know this best of all, right? That the problems are there They're not going to go away. You're going to dissolve some, you're going to fix some, whatever, but you have to keep looking at the possibilities. We have to keep looking up. We have to keep looking out and remembering that in all of this is that we can do it. We can move forward. We can create magic. It's all in our perception, everyone. And again, speaking of magic, this founder pitched at the monthly pitch event that we have here. I co-host here in Boston with the so amazing Ande Jack. And I have to tell you, these gummies, I'm going to, first of all, there's a discount code, guys, Startup Life Live. Go check it out. Go get yourself some. You're going to get $5 off with this discount code. Please try it out. I'm going to open this up so everybody can see what it's about.
Unboxing, unbagging.
Oh, hold on. Let me just put myself in full view, everybody.
Yes.
And
I'll just say, I mean, what a smart idea to have this right now, because let's face it, folks, there's a little bit of drinking going on. And even if you don't, that's okay. If you do, here you have it.
Here you go. So it comes out in these little, you see these little kind of gummies. They look like gummies. They don't have CBD in them, folks.
Okay.
They have a blackberry flavor. And what they have in them is a compound that hydrates and is anti-inflammatory and good for your liver, so that before you drink, you toast. And what happens is that hangover, especially as you age, I'm just saying, I am sorry, but after 50, all that alcohol you used to be able to chug on down is just not, it doesn't have
that way.
Yeah. So when I'm able to do a really good Cosmo and really, enjoy the champagne, et cetera, when I've done that, I don't have that morning after that really goes for 24 hours of just not feeling well. It really, really works. And also, we're too busy to have hangovers. So this really doesn't mean that you should be going out drinking up a storm. It just means you'll feel better the next day. So I'm going to keep popping this image up so everybody knows. I'll put it into the comment threads. Also, use this discount code Startup Life Live and go to alwaystoast.com and try these out. It's really, really helpful. Ain't nobody got time for that with a hangover.
Really don't. And also, let's face it, you need to keep that liver healthy.
You do. And these are proven remedies. So it's, I sent you a couple of the bags. So I'm looking forward to you unbagging, boxing, and letting us know how you make out.
I'll do that on my my Freddy with the Frenchie too, because that's always a little bit of a boozy special. So just have to sniff one when you're on the floor.
I hear you. Do you know Ted?
I don't, but I saw the comment. That's really cool. Yes. Oh, Ted, I bet you've been enjoying it too. There's some that are so good that they have that you can see the rings. I mean, it's really cool. But I love, speaking of like having drinks, the way that it photographs, with most of our cameras and our phones, is that it just looks like a little bit of a blurry guy. Looks like two planets that are drunk.
And I think somebody on Twitter said, "Oh, I'm so glad they got together again," or they're hanging together again.
Right.
Yes, and hi to you in Phoenix from Boston, dear Ted.
It is hard to stay hydrated down there. My gosh, you can walk out and be like, everything is just dried out.
Yep,
so
absolutely. Colorado has a little bit of that too going on.
We do. It's definitely it's a dry heat in the summertime.
So folks, as I always do, just because Mia is so delicious and we're going to have her, share even more, but Mia and I could sit here for an hour and talk about anything and still have a successful experience. But I do like to find out my fab founders, especially my fab female founders' stories, because how we get where we are sometimes is arbitrary. I'm always saying, all my businesses came to me like a stray cat at the door and yowled until I let them in. And really, one of my businesses, I said no to that cat for 2 years, just saying, till I finally let it in. But other people, they feel calls, and it's happenstance. Someone gets laid off. Everybody has a story. Yeah. Tell us your story, Mia. How did you get going? And what was your first dive into entrepreneurship?
Sure. And what it's so encouraging, which is why I love that we brought up that we had the same show 6 years ago with that overnight success thing, because it is a good reminder for people, especially now that everybody's online so much more, of not falling prey to what other people doing, in the sense of thinking, oh, it was instant or it was insurmountable. It could go either way. You could think it was really easy or really, really difficult. So listening to the stories of other people is so inspiring for me. Again, why I'm always got my notepad of just randomly like, ooh, just listen to what people say. But my first foray into entrepreneurship actually started before the punch inspection. So I was living in New York City and met a guy and moved out here to Colorado in 95, and was just so exhausted from I'd been in commercial insurance and, in this really rat race of New York City. So I bought this house cleaning business in Boulder, and was like on a lark, it's so same thing with the cat yelling kind of thing, and or more of an accidental tripping over things and going, ooh, let's try that out. And the interesting thing about this business is that you learned how things worked well in a home. And specifically, if you're trying to clean it, like, oh, that design sucks, So, I had this business for 2 years, and then I sold it and ended up getting a job at an architecture firm. And so I was really willing to ride the waves. I was in my early 30s, riding the waves of trying out different things, and also following my heart song, because I loved architecture. I loved design. I just didn't want to go to school for it. So I was working as an office manager, and they taught me, and this was in the mid 90s, so like 97. So, pre-computers, but AutoCAD was out. And so part of what they taught me to do was to read the drawings, and I would sit in the back when it was slow, and I would do the as-builts. And that means literally taking the design as how it was built, and then the plans or the information from the builder, that maybe they had to change things or move a wall, and I would tape these drawings into the page, or the updated drawings. And so I just learned how to read construction drawings from that. And they're called CD. They were called CDs at the time. So so I combined this like weird, there you go.
Yeah, but the thing, Mia, that's so fascinating is that, folks, I was thinking just the other morning, like, how do people get up in the morning? I mean, how did we get up in the morning when we didn't have our phone?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. And so what you brought up is, and I have a dear friend for forever, who went to architectural school. I remember, the CAD CAM, that was like, whoa, not the freehand drawing. Really? And then you got it to that next level. And I also love this little segue. You bought a cleaning company, as one does, because they just moved somewhere. It looks good.
Yeah.
And, but then you started to transition into an area. I can't imagine there are a lot of women.
What was cool about this? Great question on that. So I worked with this architecture firm called Oz Architecture in Denver. Now, the interesting thing about this is it was chock full of women, and it was amazing. Like I was somewhat spoiled, because yes, it's this sort of like the other thing I love about architecture is that you're vetted and lauded and celebrated the older you get in this industry, because you have the experience. And so, yes, there were a bunch of old white guys, I like to say that, but they were very kind, and they brought in all these women. So I was on job sites with mainly women, and it was friggin' badass in that sense of sort of bucking the system.
But also it was role modeling for you. So you saw all these women in this role. So you had no trouble segueing into anything you wanted to do, because they were showing you.
They were
going here, because it really helps when you can see who you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's representation right there. And I will jump into that a little bit in part of my silver linings. But yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, because it's so natural in my head that I just had all these structural engineers, architects, and of all ages. So it was really a great segue. And then I ended up, here it was like the late 90s, and things kind of tanked. We hit here in Denver, we hit another fall in the economy.
Sure.
And I was in between, I had quit Oz and was in between businesses, and Oz called me back and they said, "Hey, we remember how picky you are and how you type fast. Would you come and do punch lists with us?" And I was like, I have no idea what that means, but that sounds awesome. So they would take me to the job sites. Now this is in 2001.
Yeah.
So pre everything.
Free everything.
It kind of
and
was.
well, in 2001, the dot-com industry was falling out.
Yeah, it was right before 9/11 also. So
Mhm.
that was just, especially coming from New York, that was a very devastating time
Yeah.
from when that occurred. But yes, it was very interesting because they would take me on the job sites and set me in the corner, and I'd have a notepad. And I don't even think we had the little, micro recorders at the time. And I would just write everything down. And then they kept bringing me back and I would write it down. And then I just kept learning. And then it got to, then I was also punching. And then it got to, let's just send her ourselves. And so it just grew into this just odd niche.
I got to bring that. Look at me. She has her name on her hard hat and everything. I don't know if you guys
Boss hat, by the way, just so you know, that wood hat, that's boss hat.
That's wonderful. So now, the money's coming in. Were you a 1099? Were you on payroll?
Good question. I was just always a 1099, and it just there was a freedom about that. I will say I'm a little fussy about that. I've always found more freedom in that scenario than being an employed person.
Yeah.
I always say I'm a terrible employee.
I love that.
I'm a great consultant. I'm a terrible employee. I just get too fussy.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you because as I say to many people, they go around the room and introduce yourself. I go, "Hello, my name is Ande. I've been unemployable since 1992. Fell off the wagon once. I fired myself. Second time I got fired. But frankly, I'm just unemployable. It's whenever I can send a resume out with all the best connections in the world, it's always crickets. So even times when I've tried, I'm going to say, no, I want to be on guaranteed paycheck. I want that feeling again. Yeah, just can't happen. So I really feel that for you. And that, the 1099 means, folks, Mia has to hustle all the time to bring that money in, work on her mindset, because a lot of times you think you're rolling and it's going great, and then boop, boop, goes down, and then boop, boop.
It's the slap, for sure.
How you make it through those roller coaster rides are really important. We'll talk about mindset later, but it's just such an important part of being your own boss, being a solopreneur. So as you were going through, all of these, and we're going to get into other adventures, because you then, what triggered? When was it that you went from, I've got the hard hat, but I want to wear some more hats. I got some more tiaras I want to put on. How did that happen, Mia?
Well, that was a forced one too. But I wanted to bring up real quick what the point when I decided to actually, because I was working for another company, and when I quit the job, and this is where I get into the woo. So I'm the woo spiritual entrepreneur, and all the changes that I've made have come from getting the message. Yeah. So I literally gotten the message with that job. I was driving home and I ran out of gas. Y'all, come on now. And it was before cell phone, so I had to wait for help to come. And I just got this message of you got to quit this job. I literally got the voice. I got laid low to sit and hear that message. And the next transition though with that construction, and it was going so well. Oh my goodness. And then 2008 hit.
Ouch.
Girl. And because I'm at the tail end of construction, I had this period, even when things were happening in 2007, it really didn't slap me until beginning of 2009. And then I had literally just flown down to Miami to check out a new project. They were going to hire me to go do that. And then it was like the faucets got turned off. I mean, tell you, it was grim. It was really. I am
so sorry. Yeah, because you had that grace period. You had some work going on that you were still signed up for that
Yeah, but I
had
had
to
the
be
ego
done.
with it too. I got humbled, sis. I got humbled because I
Tell us
thought,
more about that.
yeah, you literally think, well, I made it through this, and and so it was very interesting to go back. I did have to go back, and I was doing temp works.
Mhm.
That's like for those unemployable who need work, but need the training wheels, temp work. And so I ended up having to transition because I had a friend that was from Oz, and she knew of this company called Crave. And what they were a group of entrepreneurs, and they would go from city to city and create these small networks. And then they would make a book that would talk about all the different entrepreneurs that were in that. So it was really what a
That
blessing that
how
was.
cool is that?
Yeah, because I'd been on job sites with a bunch of men. Now, listen, I had sorry, this is probably a little vulgar, but the BD energy, BDE, you all can Google that, walking around, but that's exhausting after a while.
Yeah.
It really is. And so for me to transition and work with this group here in Denver and create this whole new this whole new network here and learn about all these women doing the coolest stuff. I was a silver lining.
Thank you for that. I didn't know about the Crave story. I
Yeah, that
love
was neat.
that.
That
And
was
also, anybody out there, you can, clink, clink to that
neat.
over the fact that we have all had our humbling experiences. Oh my gosh.
I lost my house, I mean, it was
Been there, done that.
yes, ma'am. And I think the more that we say these things as well, not say them and then put on the hair shirt and scourge ourselves,
Right.
but say them and then keep moving, because it takes I think to normalize things that happen is good without the shame.
Without the shame. And that for me is,
Mm,
a very important Andelicious moment. I want to bring this up
mm.
because life happens.
Yeah.
And the deepest learnings come from the big cluster, whats,
Boop.
where you get hit sideways. And
Mm.
then when you're down, you get kicked. And
You get
then
rolled.
if that's not bad enough, someone's going to throw salt in your eyes, and dirt.
It's like
I
those
mean,
movies where they're standing there and then the car goes by and the big splash.
and then the car rolls over you. And like it's just one thing after
Oh,
another.
goodness.
But the lesson there is don't get up. The lesson is, wow, why did that happen?
Mm.
What did I learn from it? Could have just been plain old karma, which is very important. Karma isn't a bad thing. It's an unfolding of your soul journey.
Ooh.
And it could have just been like, wow, because then you take it with you. And then you have what Arlen, it's about damn time. My favorite book of 2020, Arlen Hamilton.
Wow.
She talks about the lived experiences and how they prepare us for the work that we do today. Do you know Arlen's story, Mia?
No, but I'm going to. I'm
going to stop and share it because we got plenty of time here.
We do.
So the beauty of Arlen is that she was a tour manager in 2012 for, hip hop, rap bands, et cetera, for around the country. And she decided that she wanted to become a venture capitalist.
There you go.
This is a phenomenal woman who is about 6 feet tall, a woman of color, and a member of the LGBTQ community. Now, I come from the home of venture capital here in Boston. Ain't nobody looks like that, right?
Can't miss her when she comes in the room. Oh my gosh, she must be such a presence.
Oh, she is. She's amazing. So what does she do? She figures it out. She teaches herself and she learns everything. And she starts asking people for help and guidance. And one woman shows up and says, this is what you got to do for the next year or so. Arlen goes off and does that. And she realizes she can't get a job pouring people's coffee at venture capital firms. And so she realizes she's going to have to figure out how to raise her own fund.
Wow.
And she calls it Backstage Capital because, of course, she's been backstage for forever.
Sure.
So here's the silver lining moment. I mean, the oh my God moment, which is right before she was finalizing her fund and signing off, and everything was great. She was homeless. She was sleeping at the airport and doing her work at hotel coffee shops.
Wow. I can feel that. Oh my gosh, of her just like going and going and going and stepping
And
to the next thing.
And to this day, she gets all the, some crazy comments, but
Sure.
it's her story's amazing.
Mm.
And how she championed herself, and now she champions other.
Oof.
We've been calling them underrepresented, but after Marie's show last Friday, we know that they're the new majority.
I love that. And I was just going to ask you to repeat those numbers again, because it's staggering of the percentages of women that receive funding. And we're talking about white women. And then you start getting into the numbers of Black women, brown women, women of color. And it's, but she's changing it. And that's actually one of my silver linings too, is activism. So.
Yep. And we're going to talk about that, but my darling man, he's saying beautiful pooch, Mia.
Thank you. This is Gidget. She was being lumbar Frenchie and getting uncomfortable. So now she's up here. Thank you, Chet. And she's sweet. She's our little rescue girl.
Thank you, honey, from the other room.
Yes. This is like watching Katie Couric, which I have to shout you out. Let's just stop for a second. So you tagged me in on an Instagram story about 3 weeks ago, and it has changed my life.
What?
Where I've been, I don't know. Neil Katyal.
Okay.
I didn't know who he was. Girl, come on now. Where have I been? But I mean, it's a game changer for me. And so I love it. Then I also saw she was Katie Couric interviewed Neil Katyal, and then Preet Bharara, who you stop now, because I got a thing for both of those guys. It's this business crush, but it reminds me of how Katie Couric interviews people now, and her husband's in the side room shouting out questions, commentary.
It's great. It's great. We're home alone in our studios here, our home studios, our home office. Let me just throw this up again. Anybody tuning in, I want you to hop on to Always Toast. Okay. Yes. Remember this, you get a discount code, Startup Life Live, Always Toast. And some lucky commenter tonight is going to get a free sample. I'm just saying.
And you have to love the story behind it too, of like anybody that you're pitching. And this is where you and I have, and in many ways, so many kindred spirits and ideas, but just the story behind things. I mean, that's why we love founders.
That's right. Absolutely.
Everyone's got a good story, right?
I'm feeling a Rod Stewart song coming on.
Get it.
I should do Alexa.
We were pre-gaming with with Alexa. That was awesome.
So, part of what you do is your activism. So like in the middle here, you see Mia with the mic right there, everybody. This is also important. And also you have launched a new podcast.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is, come on, how many times are we not talking about the real stuff, everybody? So important. I'll put that link too. I'm using your Linktree link so that people can find you everywhere through the Linktree link.
That's been so, I mean, talk about, Linktree is perfect for this kind of thing, because we have so many different, can you hear her grunting? Are you grunting? Grunt, grunt, grunt. Yes, she does this. She's waiting for Papa to get home. I know you are. And your kitty to wake up, because she loves playing with the kitty too. But Linktree is perfect when you have all these different ventures. And I love the idea. And this was something I had to battle through after 2008 of switching things out. And remember how LinkedIn would always ask you, like, where'd you go to school and what did you do? And I was like, stop friggin' asking me that, because I didn't finish college. And it was because I had such a bad panic disorder. In my 20s. And so everything just started to really go downhill for me. So the speaking thing now, me making that fear my biatch, so to speak, was a huge part of my journey as well.
That's great. Mia, have no problem with the live, with the camera.
Mm-hmm.
But I go live in front of a room if I'm responsible for imparting like a slideshow or something. I don't know.
Yes, ma'am.
I would have to call Eric and have him help me, because I do it fine with the monthly pitch event I co-host, but I got AJ. I can lean on him.
Exactly. It has so many different iterations. And I will say that was the very first episode that I did of the We Don't Talk About podcast, was about anxiety. And so the interesting thing with that venture, which that came out of 4 years ago, going through menopause and going to my doctor and kind of getting a little bit of a,
Oh,
just glad handing, and here's a prescription for
yeah.
antidepressant. And I realized how many conversations we were not having. Yes, there's talk about it, but there's not the detailed talk or the honest talk, or there's the spoon-fed big pharma or whatever conversation is based on, again, on shame-based too. There's
That's
a lot
right.
of siloing and a lot of shame-based things in the world.
They
And
sure
I'm here for
are.
that to go.
I know. And I got to tell you, let's clink to that.
Mhm.
Hey, Chet, Mia's drinking a chocolate stout right
Ooh,
there.
yes, dear. Look at this. Hold on. To see, this is her shtick, by the way.
Yeah.
This face in the armpit. That's her safe spot, right?
So
Yes.
look at that double chocolate, darling. Oops. Stout. That's what she's drinking. Auntie's drinking some bubbly. Cheers, clink to that. But Chet is absolutely right. You are brave. You tapped
thank
into
you,
your courage on top of, even while dealing with something that people don't know. They see you in the world and they think, oh, she's fine. She's beautiful. She's this and that. But anxiety is very real, and we don't know other people's stories. We don't know what kind of PTSD that they've had.
It's so isolating. It
Yeah.
truly is. And definitely I'll post a link for the anxiety one, because it's actually the guy who's my podcast producer, but he has a podcast called The Anxious Truth. And he's very similar. He's not an expert, and it's chapped a couple people because of his rhetoric, but it's a very empowering conversation about sort of blowing the lid off of all the different ways it's supposed to look, just like most of the things that we're all struggling with.
Absolutely. And founders especially.
Oh my gosh. Right?
Excuse me. As everybody knows, Tony Tsai wrote the book Happiness Delivered, okay? Head of Zappos. Very unhappy man.
Yeah.
Very into, had major founder fragility and no support system around him to help him.
He didn't.
Lift up out of that.
He didn't. That was a real shocker for me. That, in fact, it was right before you and I did our show in 2014. I had went to Vegas for a conference called the What If Conference. And I got to finally meet Lynn Abate Johnson, a lot of our Google folks. And we were in that section of Vegas that Tony Hsieh was responsible for, that whole downtown Vegas.
Yeah.
The container village and all of that. And it was so interesting to see how he had created such a cool thing, based out of altruism and creativity and all these different things. And then to see, have that, scusi, to have him come to that sense, that was really heartbreaking.
Yeah, really heartbreaking.
He's such a groundbreaker. I mean, you got to be something else if you get Amazon to say, I'm going to give you money to stay exactly how you are and not replace anyone. Come on. That was
amazing. Big. And his book is amazing. And his understanding of the customer is amazing. And it just broke my heart. It was the last thing I saw coming.
Me too. And I want to say that does not detract at all from everything that he did, right?
Of course not.
And I just saying that we're both feeling that way of that. And I think that can help take the pressure off of people as well, of like, you don't have to be all this. You can accomplish this and still be a hot ass mess with your mismatching socks. And I feel like maybe that's a silver lining of this pandemic. Girl, I could care less about what the back of my head looks like now. I don't have fake eyelashes anymore. Look at the nails. Who cares? The freedom.
Listen, I still care, but I was wearing accessories when I was little. So,
Yes. Oh, and I do still, who is it? Ayanna Presley, who's
our girl from my town.
Is she?
Come on. Here's a woman who was on the Boston City Council. She had no plans. I mean, see, here's the silver lining of the last 4 years of what's been going on in DC. She wasn't going to run for anything, and certainly not against someone who'd been for 32 years and beloved and a Democrat.
Yeah.
And she went up against it because she said, we could be doing more and we need fresh blood. And I feel I need to be here.
Yeah, she is incredible. I also love that she's been so open about her journey with her alopecia, with
Yep, absolutely.
with the hair loss. And so I love that she was on what's her name? The comedian Amy Schumer, who has an amazing story and has really blown the lid off of the problems that she went through with her pregnancy. So there's all these things that are coming out now that our women are like, I am tired of really making this a comfortable issue for you. And I'm going to put that out there.
And we've seen that between Chrissy Tigley. Is that how you say?
Tegan, that she just was very open about her.
Absolutely.
The loss of her baby.
Yeah. And this is what happens. I had folks, full disclosure, a lot of people do know this, or maybe you don't, but I had a loss in each trimester. Live delivery, stillborn, miscarriage.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm telling you, by the time the 2 successful outcomes arrived, I had a bonfire for all the maternity clothes I wore for 7 years. It was a mess. But nobody talks about that.
They don't. I would love to. And in fact, there are 2 women that were here in Denver that had a really interesting conversation about that, saying that no matter whether you deliver or not, you are still a mother.
Oh my gosh, it's hopes and dreams. It's everything. Yeah. The loss is huge, huge, huge. And in this visual world that we live in, we often see pregnancy. You get pregnant and the baby comes out and, then the stuff starts happening.
Cutie patootie stuff or whatever. This is stuff we're not talking about enough at all. But I do feel like, and again, I'm going to keep looping it back to our theme, the silver linings. I think this is a silver lining as well, that there's more of is it vocality? Is it like a vocal piece?
Right.
I mean, that's literally, again, why I came up with that podcast title, because I felt like, there's so much period shame anyway. My God, especially women our age. I mean, we were just taught to just feel so ashamed. And it still exists, but the menopause piece, I was like, why is no one talking about, these things that I mean, half of the population has had a period. Why are we not talking about menopause? And then it also gets relegated into this very shameful thing.
Oh, absolutely. And
I feel like I'm ranting, but you know where I'm at.
Yeah, no. And so, we as certainly females, and especially, and I went to an all women's MBA program.
Yeah.
So here's what they did, Mia, because in our age group, women were independent performers. They would look at the person doing it the best and say, I got to do it better than that. Whereas a guy would look around and say, who's doing it the worst? I got to do better than that. And that we talked about how men sat down at the table and created the culture of business. So of course we were having a hard time integrating and understanding. And why do I have to play golf? And do I have to go to the bar?
Yeah.
But what they did was they put us into groups, put us into a team. Because again, how many? I mean, I was on a team in high school. Some women, you were on teams, but really, did we have a lot of team sports? No. And so they put us into a team of 5 women in a team, and they gave us too much homework for one woman to do. So you had to rely on your team. Wow. Now, for some people, 20 years later, that's not a big deal. But at the time, there was still that one woman who wanted to do it all. And it was not possible. So what did they teach us? How to work as a team, how to be okay with someone's subpar contribution. Let it go. My gosh, we learned so much from that.
I bet. Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. But to even say that too, and let me be clear. And I know both of our brands are this way. Like even with me being in the construction piece, and then I did the Crave piece, and I had even started to move into just being an all female type of brand. And was even going to be on like a local radio station here. It was right before I started my Google Plus stuff. And I got a message from Spirit. Again, I know it sounds kooky.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding, ding. But it said, that's not your brand. You are unisex. There's a reason why the earth is even pretty much 50-50 male, female. So even when we talk about these issues of things that we don't talk about, we're not saying it to exclude men. We're saying that it needs to be a common conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And men are great. Good men are
Dig 'em.
phenomenal.
They
And
are.
many men have paved the way for us in our work. And of course,
Allies.
and I've raised 2 wonderful men.
You have, right? You got your Lyons den.
The Lyons den. Let me just put this up again. I want to remind everybody because Mia and I are toasting and celebrating ho 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 the holidays of 2020. Clink clink, boom boom, and then Mia's like, she's pacing herself now, folks. But I want to remind you that you don't have to suffer the side effects from even just one drink, and you know who I'm talking to. You know what can happen.
That's
and so use the Startup Life Live code, get a discount, go get a sample. Someone in the comment threads, you are going to win a sample tonight of this product, and you'll thank me, okay? Because it will just take the edge off the but Mia, so let's talk about how you transitioned in, because you started your show on Google Plus. You started getting picked up for more speaking engagements. You overcame that fear, and even with anxiety, you were able to go out and contribute and glow and, share your essence in the world. But you transitioned into a brand ambassador and a lifestyle blogger. And I just remember thinking, who gets to do that? How did that happen? Because it's really cool. And every time I turn around, you're driving some car, you're tasting something, you're sharing a brand, you're doing an unbox on your weekly show. Share with folks how that happened.
And that's, your joy de vivre as well of just being, being excited about the things that you love. And it's been interesting too, the whole world of the influencer world, the micro influencer, even the celebrities that are, spokespeople. I think this year was definitely the somewhat of the final death knell of the BS of people that are just not, that are like, oh, this is just an ad, and they're just going to put their name on it just to make the money.
Yeah.
We can all smell it. We can see it from a mile away.
Yep.
And that transition, that was so fun because, Google Plus kind of died off less in 2015, but all these relationships were so intact. So I started doing the travel piece, which was so fun. And that culminated in this wonderful trip to Africa last year.
And because you were you were like the connector, something like that, and you transitioned into Mia Voss on the go.
Yeah, the Mia on the go, Mia Voss on the go, and and again, the theme that's always in there too of 70 double chocolate stuff. Just in comments there too. That the theme has always been there of the connection, like getting yes, Jeremy, let me tell you something. You need this in your face immediately. See, this is stuff I get excited about.
And Mia, can I just share with you, Jeremy Quant is the founder of Dot Red, and he has said, and he'll be on the show later in January, February, but Jeremy has set the ability to do virtual art gallery tours.
Oh, thank God.
Do you have that piece behind you that you love? It might be too difficult to grab.
It's
yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
No, it's actually right here. But I had this I decided I love this colors for today. But yes, and this is, what I love. So talk about doing what I love. And when the sun shines on this, by the way, it's super gold. This is a friend of mine who watches my show, and she mentioned just briefly that she had an Etsy, and I got on her website and saw this, and I bought it immediately. And it's just, canvas.
Yeah.
And this is her foray into artwork.
So
and this thing. And what I love too is when I saw it, it's this way. It's a woman,
right?
And she's just got her chest out proudly, and I adore this. But talk about this story of her feeling bold enough, because she's also going through, just going through everything what people are going through with the quarantine, and has also struggles with anxiety. But for her to then put this out and then to get this on Etsy. I gotta tell you,
good. Come on.
And I did Right. And I will put her link in there as well because she's amazing. But I did see that the new funding that's coming through in the government is going to have a lot for the arts. And I'm sure there are people that are just like very upset about that. I don't care. We need it.
Are
We
you
need it.
kidding?
We need the arts.
We need STEAM, everybody.
STEAM.
We need STEam.
We
So you need
do.
science, you need technology,
Yeah.
you need environmental, you need art, you need
Yeah,
math.
Yep. For
It
everyone.
was great. And, I'll let you know. And
He
I'll
should
have a
be proud of
calendar
you
soon
so
for
too.
all the people coming on the show. Jeremy's one of them.
Yeah, that's
Phenomenal
awesome.
founder.
That's
Has an
awesome.
incredible lived journey experience. You would love to have him on your show. Just saying. Let me just put that little up there again. Jeremy, Mia has this great podcast. Okay. How cool is that?
We have covered a lot of topics. We the one that's coming out, it might be coming out this week, is Let's Talk About Sex, and it's sex and intimacy in the time of COVID.
Oh, yeah,
And
my old platform.
Exactly. You know what's what?
Bring back the
what. Yes.
Talk about having to learn how to brand while having a tasteful, playful 21 plus website, folks. With no nom de plume. It was just
right.
Go visit the YouTube channel, Bring Back Desire, folks. You're going to see me talking about something other than business.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. Honey, let's just shout you out on that too, because that was even part of my brand as well, of having this podcast with that word in it. Yes. And same thing for you transitioning, but not even out of it, because it's part of your DNA.
Yeah. And I was called to do it. I said 2 years in a row. I said, not just no, but oh, hell no. Mm-hmm. And I had to, you must do it. And it was just like paved in gold. And it had its run. And it was a beautiful, gentle, you're complete now. So I obviously served who I needed to serve. I did what I needed to do and have conversations. So folks, just so Bring Back Desire was all about helping long-term customers. Listen to me. God, see, I'm just still LTV. No. Long-term couples stay tuned in and turned on.
Yeah.
So understanding that, you're not there just to be roommates. You're there to be intimate. And what does that look like? And when you're busy parenting and doing everything else that you've got going on in life, stressful jobs, whatever, you still have to take time out for intimacy with your own beautiful self as well as with your partner. And how do you do that? So it was a lot of fun.
It is. And I'm going to throw this out there. I am guessing that a lot of the things that people learn from you, they are putting into play right now, sis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Thank goodness. Because that's a happy camper when you're staying, tuned in and turned on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have evolved, but can we talk a little bit about this brand ambassadors? So how do you build your businesses? You went on that great trip to Africa, which was so wonderful. Oh my gosh, the photos, the images, everything.
That was such a life changer. It was. And it was so, the deal is you can't necessarily get into it for the money, because that's where a lot of people falter, is they just get into that. And they also talk about that overnight success, that, these folks that are getting paid all this copious amounts of money. But again, there was such a fake feel to it. I mean, I think about Fire Festival. I don't know if you.
No, I don't know. Do I know Fire Festival?
This was about 3 years ago, and they did like a Netflix and a Hulu thing on it. What it was this disastrous thing where this guy was selling tickets to this event in I think in the Cayman Islands or something. And he got all these influencers to put this big like orange square on their Instagram and built up all this hype. And then when everybody got there, it was a disaster. I mean, like almost to the point of danger. And they just scammed all these people out of this money to go down and have this experience, because they'd had all these influencers. Yeah, it's FYRE. It is Schadenfreude to watch it. Like, sorry, I'm a fan of Schadenfreude. Like, as hard as I try and be that girl, I can't always. And it's such an interesting thing to see the people that are these big influencers. So I consider myself a micro influencer. But when I do these trips, or I do these, even drive the cars, female buying power has become my emphasis, even though my brand is still unisex, but just trying to focus on the fact that women make 85%, if not more, of overall buying decisions. Right. So why are they not getting catered to? I do feel like we are on the onset the changeover, so that it's not just about focusing on men and then what men think women want. Remember that line from
The movie,
yes, and it's Working Girl.
right?
When you know where I'm going. When Harrison Ford's like, "Oh, I like that you're dressed like a woman, not like how a woman thinks a man thinks a woman should dress." And I loved that. I thought that was empowering as well too. She's got her sexuality, she's got her smart, she has the whole thing going on.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's one of my biggest focuses too. But I was almost always kind of riding the rails in between, being a brand ambassador, and I couldn't be my feisty self as much. And this year, I've really blown the lid off of it with adding the very opinionated blogger, and then mouthy activist, because this year has blown the lid off of me, off of my own personal journey with social justice.
And talk about that, because, the silver lining for you through this year, what happened? What triggered it? How did you become that mouthy activist?
Yeah, I always was. So I have to remind myself, and Facebook is good for that, of like, oh yeah, I have been ranting about that for a while. I always think it's, some things are sort of new, but honestly, so I live in Aurora, Colorado, and that is where Elijah McClain lived. And I'm sorry to say that I did not know about this young man's passing until June of this year. Now,
Wow.
he died in August of last year, but it just got so, it wasn't on my radar.
Yeah.
I'll say that. And so as a white woman, I've become very aware of talking to people about white privilege, and simplifying it for a lot of people to say that white privilege doesn't mean you haven't had a difficult life. It means that your life hasn't been difficult just based on the color of your skin.
Right.
You can't, you really have to work hard to not get that. I think. This year was just so right for it. So I came back from Africa. So I already was kind of talking about things. And even when I went on that trip, I said, please don't send me with a bunch of white people to throw paper towels at folks like Trump did. Do you know what I mean? I do not want to go on a white savior trip at all. So I've always been vocal about that. But, quite frankly, Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and George Floyd were the big game changers for me. And it's been a bit of a red pill, blue pill thing that I can't unsee a lot of things. So I'm a work in progress on that.
I think we all had that. Where I met Jeremy was in the Founder Jim's Money Magnet program. And Founder Jim is a phenomenal organization that was founded by the amazing Mandela Schumacher Hodge Dixon. And it helps people of color raise capital, figure out, prepares them to raise capital. She has a 6-week boot camp. Oh my gosh. But then she created a program called the Money Magnet Program. I was part of a beta, the first part. And she's an educator by training. I mean, this is what her undergrad is. She was a school teacher when she launched her first tech business. And so, and then her program, who's now her COO, Paige, incredible teachers. So when I jumped into this Money Magnet program, it was in early May, and I was out of 76 people. There was 4 of us who had white skin. And and they teach at what I would call graduate school level. They ask you to raise up to the level of what you want to do. And it was wonderful. We were talking about marketing. We'd have trainers every week. It was a 6 weeks program. But 2 weeks in is when George Floyd was murdered. Yeah. And so you and I, we've heard this over the year. We've read White Fragility. We've, but all of a sudden we were hearing stories in very intimate settings. Exactly. And it just ripped everything else off that we thought we knew, right?
It did. And again, I do feel exactly. And that's why I've loved, seeing everything with the founders too, because this is what we're talking about. We cannot do well unless all of us are doing well. And you can call that whatever you want. You can call that socialism. You can put any kind of tag you want on it, but it's true.
Yep.
It's true. And that was, oh my gosh, that really was such a game changer time. The other incident that happened within that was the Central Park bird watcher gal. And that's when you brought in the liberal white lady. And I could go on forever and ever.
The Karens.
But that's when you saw these layers of it
Right.
that we didn't know about it. And talk about that red pill, blue pill thing. That's when you can't unsee
You can't.
all these different layers of it. Austin Channing Brown's book was also a game changer for me. I'm Still Here, I believe it's called. Do you know her?
Yes.
Oh, I mean, I sat on my pandemic patio, I called it, because we didn't go anywhere this summer, and just bawled my face off on so many different levels. And part of it was because she also talks about that the battle that women have being raised religious and how it doesn't serve women at all. And it's
This is what Glennon Doyle talks about in Untamed. And in fact, I admired her so much because she went on IG and she was starting to talk about Black Lives Matters, and the women shut her down. And they said, you need to think, we need to have some conversations before you start talking again.
Yeah, good. Yeah. And this is uncomfortable. This is a very uncomfortable time. And quite frankly, and I know you're noticing it as well, it has gotten quieter. Now, of course, we had this cacophony of this shit show. Sorry,
yes, that's okay. Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. it's me. And so that's quieted some of that. But today I actually did an IG story that somebody shared of an Instagram post that Breonna Taylor did this day last year.
Oh,
and it said, I hope that at this time next year, that I have a child because I want to celebrate. And it's like making me tear up thinking about that.
There's her hopes and dreams just wiped out.
It is. And you start to see these examples too of, the whataboutism is still rampant. Well, she shouldn't have. And I'm over that. So I do want to say that I'm on like the second layer, the next layer.
And folks, this is the silver lining that we've had this year. I mean, and we've had, of course, over the 4 years, but this year it's really come home what Black Lives Matters means, what trans lives matters means.
Yes, exactly.
And really understanding and also seeing how misogynistic behavior and conditioning and indoctrination has taken place for white females over the age of 45.
Yes.
So when they get pulled into the religion, they have that's been telling them what to do, but also the indoctrination of what being a woman looks like based on the misogyny in their lives. And so while I don't condone, quote, the Karens, we have a wonderful woman here in Boston, Rachel O'Neill. She just got right up there and said, let's talk about white fragility. And she's just had this podcast, one right after another, keeping the conversation going on about I think it's called the Karens even. I don't know.
I appreciate that because that's also the piece too. And there's 3 women that I interviewed on my podcast in a row. And one of them is Shanika Carter, who's local here. And I met her because she was doing a lot of work. She was going to, she was in Kentucky quite a bit with Breonna Taylor's family. And so, then you start to see all these stories of that this election was won on the backs and the efforts of Black women, just hands down. You cannot say it any other way than that. But guess what? Our friends are tired. Oh my God. And we're just now joining the fray. And so we have to do that work, like the Karen's thing where
absolutely
and be that advocate as well. We're not talking over people, but we are saying to people like, nah, don't, but what about me? And flip the script into a more comfortable level for you. And so I do feel like that now that the election is over-ish.
Well, when the pandemic is over, first stop for me is DC for the museum, the African American History Museum. Yes, because anybody who's a founder, you want to find tenacity to get through the tough days that you're going through. You go through that museum and you walk through and see how a population of people continue to rise up in spite of all the evidence they see.
In spite of that, and not just that it stopped with, slavery ending or with Reconstruction or with with the 60s, it's ongoing. But what'll be so cool is to go to DC and have it look incredibly different than it looks right now. Girl.
But, he did promise, number 45, that he was going to drain the swamp. And I think that's what we're going to do. And we've brought some great people in. We're having a shift. And as we started the conversation off talking about the conjunction, there are times over the centuries that certain vibrations have come together for change.
Yes.
And we are ready for that right now in America. We've seen our ugly underbelly. We know the healing that needs to take place, the reparation that needs to take place, and more people to step up more fully into their knowing instead of hiding behind their fear. Yes, someone said that recently, but fear is the best weapon out there, folks. And it is weaponized on you on so many levels. And you can't be holding on to that. You got to have a switcheroo.
Yes, exactly. And then that's an inside job.
Yeah.
That is an absolute inside job. So that starts with, let's get woo again for a second. That starts with grounding. That starts with prayer or meditation in the morning.
Right.
Folks, I mean, that is an inside job type of stuff, so that when you are this beset upon all day of these different the news and this and that, get your business going. You're in the right group with working with founders that are doing the right thing. I do feel like another silver lining for me too has been really draining my own swamp of folks that were energy vampires, folks that were not serving me well. I mean, the fact that then you don't have to go do all these events and you can really hone in on what you want to do and work with the people that you want to work with, these folks that are getting stuff done. What's that up, Mel? Look
that was a sit that on a pillow moment. Drain your own swamp, folks.
Drain your own swamp. Yo, it's so true. It is. Like, talk about, like, you can reset. You can reset all of that. So
did you know Mel from Google Plus?
Good to see you.
Great to see you, Mel. It takes us, right back. A blast.
Way back. That's a moment you can have on your show. Ooh,
with the right lighting, why we haven't aged a bit.
Not a bit. Filters, folks. Tell you what. Oh, honey.
So, you've had this extraordinary journey, solopreneurs out there, people who want to sort of be who they be and get paid for who they be and how you vibe. It's not easy in the sense that you have to brand yourself. And sometimes that brand, takes on different. I mean, I was Possibility Partners first, then I switched to Startup Life. But the undercurrent, that brand essence underneath it all is Ande-licious advice.
Exactly.
Ande-licious has that vibe so that people go, ugh, Ande-licious, boom. They're not going to hire me.
That doesn't work for you. That's right.
And same with you, Mia on the go, and how you relate and you consistently show up physically. The brands are comfortable because you can comfortably talk to people because you've done the work so that you can be more fully present. It's not showtime, it's being.
Real life. Yeah.
It's real life. And I'm so proud, and I want to sort of segue into live streaming because the silver lining for me this year, Mia, has been I knew I needed to do video, but frankly, folks, doing a video and editing it, I got to tell you, it is like nightmares for me. First of all, I got to do it like 9 million times.
Yeah.
Plus, I stopped doing videos a lot of times because my ability to memorize was diminishing as I aged.
Well, then there's that brain, and then there's the pandemic brain, and girl, I'm with you. I need like a giant cue card for most things.
I know. So in 2019, the summer 2019, I said, F that. I can't not do video because I'm having a hard time remembering what I was going to say. So I let everybody know. I go, look, I'm going to shoot a video. I'm going to be talking about oxygen you need for your business. It's about, do I do VC, angel, or bootstrapping? And I talk about Reid Hoffman, who's all about VCs, to Gary V, who's all about bootstrapping and everything in between. And I said to everybody right up front, look, I got to read. I want you to know certain information, and I cannot always be extemporaneous with that. And so, and I'm not going to, I don't have the thingamajig on top of my laptop here. I'm going to be looking at my script. Just bear with me.
Why not? Oh my God. I friggin' love this because then you create, I'm jumping in like excited
Yeah.
for your story, because then you created what you needed to do to do that job, rather than fitting into what, and who said that that's how it's supposed to get done?
Right.
Who said?
Yeah, and there's a few people who have really are very discerning that know that I'm reading. But my husband is always going, "How do you say all that without?" I'm like, "I'm reading, dude." So, but also the editing, and then all of a sudden, if I'm talking, I know I'm editing. I'm editing.
Mm,
So the beauty, folks, about live streaming is you hit that live button, and this is it. You're transparent, even if you go.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay, even if
Oh,
somebody hops out, comes back in, you knock
sure.
over your drink.
The
You
dog is snorting, sleeping, doing her, whole sitch over here.
and
Ah,
then you're done, and I don't even drop it down and fix it. It goes right to YouTube to be archived. It hangs out there on Facebook, LinkedIn for forevermore, and love that feeling. I would never have done a live show again if we hadn't had the pandemic,
yeah,
and
look at that.
it just, the minute we got shut down early in Boston, folks, as local folks know, end of February, we had a big bio life sciences event with like 180 people, of which
Okay.
160, I think, got COVID. It was a super
No.
spreader,
Wow, I don't
ridiculous.
think
And
I
it,
realized about you all that was
oh yeah, we were like even, if not neck and neck, but even before New York.
okay.
And so Charley Baker, our governor, was shutting the stuff down big
Mhm.
time. He set up a rapid response center. He did everything. He got Robert Kraft involved by getting, getting the masks in for the care workers. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
But that's when I said, well, look, I can't. First of all, our monthly pitch event, I said to AJ, we're going live, dude. We're going
Yeah.
to go right on StreamYard. We'll go practice. We brought Eric in. He helped us out. But, and
I
from
love
there,
hearing that. That means that when you adapt, quicker you adapt, sis. Telling
and
you.
guess
Yeah.
who was my first guest? Because I knew he would hold my hand the
Who's
whole
that?
way through, was Shan the man.
I was just about to say Shannon.
Shannon
Brahi.
Hernandez.
Oh, he's
Get it.
gold, man. He's just gold for me. He is.
Oh,
And he's so gold standard in everything that he does. And talk about somebody who has these different iterations of their revenue streams and what they do. He's done podcasting production. He's been this icon in Arizona radio
that's
for
right.
years. And he
Yeah,
was
and
a
Ted, if
school
you're
teacher
still
before that.
watching, he's on the rock station, something, something, something. I can't remember,
KUPV.
but Shannon, love you. And when I got done with that show, then I called Eric and I go, I don't know, it was it was pretty stressful. And Eric said, do one more, Ande. I went, okay.
Oh,
And I
he
did
was
one
throwing those
more.
little treats like further and further out, and you just keep
Yeah,
just
I
do
did one more.
just do one more.
And now, folks, I just want you to know this is what I do. I do on-demand founder coaching, and I do this, and I do pitch deck reviews and WeBank application. But this is a love that I forgot or didn't know. And of course, StreamYard makes it very easy. But live streaming, Mia, I mean, I revere your ability to live stream. I just love how you talk to people. I mean, folks, Mia shows up on Fridays, right?
Mhm.
Is it
Friday with
every
the
Friday?
Frenchie.
Friday?
But I've also given myself that grace to say, if my spirit's slow or my heart's slow, I'll just move it to another day. And I did those, and thank you for that, honey, because when you're saying that, I'm like, girl, you've always been doing that. You know what I mean? So in my head, same thing. Wasn't seeing all the legs moving under the smooth looking duck that's going across the water. You know what I mean? You're over there like turning different directions. We all have, but we just look, oh, I'll just go over here. And then this just works out fine. And so we, even within our circles, we forget
Right.
that we're going through that. And now that you're reminding me of that, you have been through some fun iterations, and I have as well. And probably one of the toughest thing I think for all of us was when Google Plus just so spectacularly
Shut down.
just ruined everything they were doing. Blab was worse, I will say. Blab really
It's not
Blab was like the Grinch that took the last can of Who Hash. You know what I'm saying? Like they really didn't lead the party well. I always said Google Plus was like a bad boyfriend I finally had to break up with because he was just stressing me out all the time. But that was just, it was so fun. We could do, we could have the
Oh,
10 people at once. And
oh,
but I will say the production and the way that I was living up to that, to that specific production, because I would do a trailer beforehand.
yeah.
You're doing a lot of the same things, and I don't think I don't see it. It looks amazing, but it's so much more streamlined now to be able to do. But I always felt like with Google Plus and doing that production that it was like The Machine and The Princess Bride. That like, ooh, that just took a year off your life. So I
Yeah, and
think us finding the things that are fun and
yeah, and
stress
the
us
sweet
out.
spot and what works, what doesn't. So I've been at this since July, really like twice a week, and seeing how that vibes for me as a way to connect with founders, to serve with founders, to hear other founders' stories. But what I love about you is that, when you're all alone up here, or you have one guest, the turnout live. I mean, everything's on demand now. And so,
Yes. Yeah.
getting folks, to tune in and come by and swing by. I love the arbitrariness. I
Mhm.
do my best to promote the show. Um, but at the end of the day, it's, having conversations that are really meaningful, like we're having tonight,
Right.
and knowing that if you've touched one person's life.
I was just gonna say that. I love that you're of that same mindset instead of being the size queen, so to speak, of like, oh my gosh, it's only counts if I have so many people here, so many things going on. You forget about replay. You
Yeah.
forget about, I mean, like even your shows, the last two founder shows I've been listening to. I just put my phone off to the side when I was on the job site. And so I was just in this like, oh, like almost like a cool fugue state of like taking it in. And then I would run over and make a comment and then come back. But I was like working and
Yeah.
taking things in and observing and hearing these words. So yeah, when you don't get into that, that, again, the numbers thing, but who you're serving, and also from kind of a spiritual, law of attraction level, it's going to reach who it's supposed to. So keep doing it.
Show up, everybody.
Yeah.
Show up.
Show up.
And
Mhm. Show up,
Brian, I
show
had
out.
Brian Fonzo on the show. So I had
Mhm.
I
Love
had
him.
about, I did about 10 shows in the evening. And I said, okay, so evening's not going to work for me, folks.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just it. I can't bring my whole Ande-liciousness. I can do it maybe once a month in the evening.
Good for you for figuring that out though, sweetie, because that's the other thing, like show up, but also check your energy.
Yeah. And so the times that I show up, anywhere between 11 and 1, depending on who I'm talking to, whether they're in Europe, Africa, or
Right.
Hawaii, there's a stretch in there. But that's best for me, that time of day,
Mhm.
because we're creating content, we're having conversation. And at the end of the day, you don't know who's going to show up. I know in social media, you're always told to look at when people are going to show up. But Brian was on the show and he gave me the best tip ever, which
Ooh.
was to put in live streamers, hosts, try this out. You're wherever you're live streaming, you're going to know how many people are showing up. Cover that with a yellow sticky, because you're going to
Oh,
judge yourself. And for
wow.
me, disappointing people is part of my anxiety. I hate to disappoint. And
Oh,
so,
that's your kryptonite, huh?
well, I'm the daughter of a narcissistic mother, so
Oh,
that's the
sis.
scapegoat. So anybody who's studied narcissism, you know what I'm talking about.
I
But
do.
you just have to continue to let go, show up fully present, really understand the content that you're sharing as a live stream host. I certainly choreograph everything when it's founders. This. I'm always choreographing the conversation around the pitch deck, your business model,
Yeah.
proving that
So
value
true.
prop. How are you getting funding? What is your business model, so that we all learn from what you've had to learn along the way.
Yeah,
And it causes aha moments for founders to,
sure.
and that's what happens when you're showing up and you're creating your aha. Tell everybody a little bit about your live stream show, because it's so personal and it's so
Oh,
intimate.
thanks, honey. Yeah, and I went away from the guest piece, which I realized how much I missed it, which is why I started this shit we don't talk
Yeah.
about. which feeds that piece for me. That feeds that story piece. The live streams that I do on Friday are just based on just inspiration. It used to be called Drinking with the Dragon. And that was my beloved Morticia, who was a bearded dragon. Rest in peace, rest in power, Morticia. Also Morty, because then we found out later that Morticia was not a girl. I found out when I was in Rome, actually. Charley called me and goes, I got some big news for you. Like, you know, we just got the news that she is a he. So
there we go.
We had to change the pronouns, and gosh, I adored that lizard so much. And actually, Cameron, that used to be on the Google Plus days. He ended up taking her and, you know, and putting her in like the old folks home, and then she passed away. So, but it just literally started from this fun of just, you know, showing up on Friday nights, having drinks, talking about what happened that week, doing some energy clearing. Sometimes we call it the bong breathing, because when you hold the breath in and then you hold it in like you just did a big bong hit. There you go.
I got this.
There you go. And so it just was born out of the fun piece and wanting to get back into that. And then when Morty passed away, now it's Friday with the Frenchie. And I think you just have to find like those things that do light you up. And I love that you figured out like what time lights you up, and all these different things. And thank you for also normalizing women being in finance and founding. That's representation. So let me just shout you out on that.
Thank you.
That is just so needed.
It is. And again, you can't be what you can't see. And so you just need to keep, and that's what, you know, Startup Life is to bring and amplify voices.
Yes.
That there are plenty of, but they don't always make it on a live stream or on a podcast.
That's right.
And so, you know, showing up as you do, you know, you're touching lives, you're sharing really cool brands, you're bringing your full self to to the picture. And so now, you know what, and I love too that you shared how important it is for you to be the cheerleader for things you love and a voice for things that need attention.
Yes, ma'am.
And you shared a little bit, what's looking ahead, what is going to need the attention, and who are you cheerleading over the next year, do you think?
Short term, definitely just these businesses that are struggling so much. So just to give you a very, just the tip, just if you are even thinking about all these businesses that you love that you have not been able to go back through your photos, or go back through what you did in the past. Facebook is great for that. And go post photos on Google. On Google Maps. You can go to Google Maps, look them up, leave them a review, talk about how much you love them, post photos of that time you went to them back last February or whatever. And just spend, you know, just maybe even once or twice a week, go back, or, you know, that when Facebook Memories pops up, and go back and talk about these businesses that you love. They need it. That's being a cheerleader for the things that you love. And because I've been doing
I have not heard anybody say that, Mia.
Okay, good.
I'm going to capture that, and that's going into a snippet, because seriously, that is an important thing that we can all do.
Yeah.
Remember, when you buy from a small business, or you share the love of a small business, someone's doing a happy dance.
They are. And even so, because I've been doing this so much, and it's been a very, this is not a paid piece, right? It's because I've been doing it so much. I'm at a level 8 on Google Maps. And so wherever I go into Google just goes, oh, are you talking to me? And so I've, you know, make sure that my profile is updated. And because I've been using my voice so much, my voice now has more clout. Now this is just clout. So when I love something, you're going to hear it. And when I don't like something, I'm not going to do it just to be a jerk. I'm going to be like, you know, I'll talk to you first and let you know. But yeah, I mean, you can upload.
Well, a good founder is going to come right in there into the comment section and say, oh my gosh, I'm sorry you had that experience. What can I do?
That's right. So this, because I've been uploading for so long, this is how many views I have on my photos.
Oh, and wow. So almost 60,000.
No, that's million.
Million. Oh my, can you hold it back up?
This is my friend Mia, by the way. Yeah.
Oh my God, that is million. I didn't count the, okay, now I can see it. 60 million views.
And so this is my friend Mia who invited me, and we went, and that she's divine and delicious. She's a wine sommelier here. This is when we went to a wine tasting. So this has 1,100 views. That means when somebody goes to look up Rosetta Hall, they're going to see these views. So there's no rhyme or reason to
Folks,
it.
it's so easy to do. You go into any of the pictures from restaurants, anywhere you've been. Mia is absolutely right. She says Google Maps. You can just go onto Google and pull up the company business name. And I know we got to say hi to
Rahimas. That's my nickname. Brahaha. Hi, brother man. We were just talking about you. Were your ears burning?
Did you hear us talking about you, Shan? We were going on forever about you.
16.
We were just
gonna giggle. We
clink,
were.
clink.
Yeah, back in the day, yay. Gotta love it. I know. Let me get my drink on. Hold on.
And Shannon was telling Mia how wonderful it was that you helped me get back into live streaming. You held my hand on my first show. I love you for that. I love you for so many reasons because you're so amazing. And did you know he's just started a new podcast?
Oh, yeah. He is.
Yeah. Put that in the URL, please. Put that in the comment threads, Shannon, okay? The name of the podcast and the URL. We're putting it up on the screen.
This is the old home week. I'm telling you.
I know.
So, and then I just have to tell you this because Shannon will get a kick out of this too. So the photo that I have the most views, this has, you're going to love this, 2.4 million views. Okay. Well, we love you too, Shan. So this is literally just a picture of a restaurant waiting room that was empty. And I only took it because the chef was yelling, the owner was yelling at all of his staff. And so I was just like, I'm just going to take a picture. See if they could, just because I was like, I don't want him to notice. And this has 2.4 million views for no apparent reason, but it's Peter's Chinese and in Denver. So you never know what's going to be helpful for people. And apparently this empty dining room. Shannon might get a kick.
Okay, so did you see what No Fault put in there? They were surely bragging about Shannon and a few bad things.
We love our Shannon.
We love our Shannon. Hey, by the way, No Fault, have you seen the Invisaware commercials? Okay, so
wow, Shannon, that's cool. No, I have not.
Well, No Fault and I are mentors to this. They're not young anymore, right? No Fault, they're in 26, 27, but they were right out of college when they started this business called Invisaware, and I usually have it on for every show. But what happens, Mia, is it's part of you put it into your phone. It's an app. And so let's say you're walking down in that empty garage at night and you hear a noise, you just double tap that and you think you're getting into trouble. I mean, let's say somebody attacks you or, you double click the necklace, bracelet, scrunchie, thing around your wrist. You double click it and it goes out to 5 of your contacts. Hold on, let me bring that back up here. 5 of your contacts and the local first responders. Because, parents, your kids are getting into trouble somewhere, or you can't get to somebody, your darling, because they're in another state, another country.
Right.
But here in the US, you double click and they just partnered with ADT.
No way. How fun that you're connected to all these people that are doing all this cool stuff now.
So No Fault, I was taking a break from reality and I was watching a few movies on the Hallmark Channel.
Girl.
Because I really needed light and fluffy in a big way. And there was the Invisaware commercial. I'm so proud of these new founders. They are rocking it. Okay, so everybody, we're just talking about Shannon's new podcast. It's called The Podcast Therapist.
That's amazing.
Very, very exciting because seriously, podcasting is a wonderful way to communicate, chat, build content, etc. I was red lights tap.
Oh my gosh, just more Shannon. I mean, we've all known each other. I mean, and it's so funny. You asked me what radio station Shannon was with. I'm like, KUPD.
KUPD.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I can see it in my eyes, but I couldn't get it out of my lips.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, so these are some of the things that we're celebrating. And of course, now here's a great silver lining story. Invisaware had partnered with the real estate company that begins with R, whose name I can't remember right now.
Okay, I can't either, but I've
Oh my gosh. Anyway, everything was about to be the biggest splash ever because one of their real estate agents was murdered. And if she had had the safety device, the piece of jewelry, that would not have happened. And so they were partnering with them. And of course, the pandemic hit.
Man.
That didn't stop these guys. They had their, hold on, we'll bring it up. They had their switcheroo moment.
Mm-hmm.
And they figured out a way to penetrate different markets, especially for elders home alone and their family can't get to them, things like that.
Yeah.
So it was great.
I'd love to see. I mean, look at like Shannon, even like KUPD. There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I was like, it's even in the name. But it's been interesting to see, like, yeah, Shannon's like transition and done his podcast. And then I've finally started mine. I have some friends, and it was my second podcast episode that I did. And it's a friend of mine now. I love that. I feel like the planets kind of aligned for her because somehow she was like, we're going to have to take this online. So what she has, she's a breast cancer survivor. So she has a group, it's called Night Out with the Girls. And what they do is they put together events so that women can get together and talk about breast health. Because it's all about like, sure, everybody talks about boobs, but they're not talking about breast health. And so now they have the, look at me, I'm touching myself while I'm talking about it.
The tatas.
You gotta be, like visual. But they put everything online now so that even these doctors and these nurses can talk to women and talk them through their experience.
Yeah.
Coolest pivot.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
The girls. Yes, I totally love it. But it's these innovative things like this, like the jewelry, like Invisaware.
Right. And Shannon, I know you were thinking about how could I reach more people? Because honestly, one video after another, folks, he is the hands down the one person I will recommend anybody to for podcasting, no matter what.
Yes.
But also, I didn't realize you'd never had a podcast. You shot all these great videos.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, time for me. I mean, because he's a live on-air DJ. I mean, that's podcasting every night.
But he was totally giving with the video. So I mean, if you just go back and look at that, there's just so much stuff that was given away for people to do that. But how cool is that now? Because now everybody's podcasting because they're a captive audience.
Hey, can I just bring this up again for anybody who's still watching or coming in new tonight? Come on, this is the delicious way to make sure that after you've had a little bit too much champagne, you're not feeling it the next day. You're not going to have that hangover. You're going to hydrate. And this is a local Boston company,
which I love.
Before you drink, always toast. And they're the little gummies. They're delicious. You chew on 5 of them. It hydrates you, takes care of your liver, and keeps everything, prepared. It's not like drinking olive oil first before you start doing shots. And we're not saying you have to drink the whole bottle of Patron.
Oh, right. You just got to take care of yourself.
I'm just happy that I can enjoy a really good, really, it's just really good tequila mixed with some lime juice without not feeling it for days. So I'm thrilled over that.
Cannot invite like we used to, although I'm going to have a little bit more. Yes, darling.
We can do this forever. I just feel like I've been sitting down having coffee with you, and we've had a few friends show up while we've been doing that. And Shannon, seriously, since we were just talking about you, it's so delicious that you popped
in here.
It's so great.
Got to ping him in here.
So you want to break? We should bring him in.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Brahimi, come on, do it. Do it. Then I don't know why we started calling each other that, but it was always like, brah, ha, ha. Like when you get like the brohim kind of talk. And
absolutely.
I mean, and I've known Shannon since, like 2013, I think 2013.
Yeah, 2012 here. I think Shannon and I were in the comment threads watching you going,
might have been, back in the day. Oh my gosh. And then we'd all like have the little side conversations and everything too, which is
so good. So here's what's great about you is that you know this about yourself, that you will always be your own boss.
Mm-hmm.
That, you have just figured out, or life has pinged you and said, here's where you need to be now for your next growth stage.
It's not always comfy though, sis. Got to tell you.
I'd like to know when it is.
Yeah,
I just
and please, whatever. I'll have what they're having.
right. That makes it comfortable.
Yeah.
But you've always said yes, which is really, really important, and I admire you for that.
Thanks.
Because it is scary. Anytime you put yourself out there and you have to ask people to pay you versus showing up in payroll, you know how it's like applying for a job all the time.
Yes.
And so you have to have the right mindset. You have to understand it's not about you. It's about serving whomever you need to serve and the brands that you serve. But you've constantly figured out all these wonderful revenue streams so that you can live the life that is meaningful for you. That's not compromised. And the one thing I love about Gary Vee is he's always talking about what makes you happy. And if dominating a global domination with a product is going to make you happy, yahoo. If helping your family generationally is going to make you happy, that's great. If $500K a year is like going to shoot you to the moon, wonderful. If $60K a year is floating your boat and that's it, I give permission, folks, for founders who I really just want to work and pay the mortgage.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Figure that out. Let me help you figure that out. It is okay. No shaming on not having a tech company or not going for bajillions a year.
Yeah. And thank you for that distinction, because I think a lot of people forget that. And then that's where there are folks that are just failing miserably. Oh, is he going to come in? And, and doing the things that they don't want to do.
What's the best way for me to send the link to you, Shannon? Facebook? No, you're on YouTube.
Brahim.
I don't know. Any suggestions?
Oh, y'all get ready for things to fire up. Just Facebook Messenger, bro. Depends on if he's in front of a computer or on his phone.
Yeah, I'll try that.
I love this about StreamYard, how easy it is to get in now.
Oh, yeah. So easy from your phone, from whatever. Write a new message. This multitasking, folks. I got to tell you.
It was just messaging
Shannon. Because I'm not, for me to hop onto my phone, it's a little challenging to do that.
Do you want, do you want to send it to me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll put in private chat.
Yes. Watch this. Do you want to watch the magic happen, folks? Because this is how we get it done.
Okay. And then let me just put it here for you. I did send it in Facebook.
Oh, good. Okay. So Shannon, I'm going to send it to you by that way as well. Hold on.
Or if you have, I don't even have a cell phone.
I think I do, actually. Hold on, Brahimus.
So, this is the beauty of sometimes when you're doing live. And again, this is a special episode of the Startup Life live show, folks. We're celebrating the ho holidays of 2020. And we're also, working on understanding, that we've all had some switcheroos this year that have required us to show up differently for ourselves and for our business. And Mia and I are just hanging out. We're talking. We've got our special cocktails here, and okay. So we sent it Facebook Messenger, Shan.
Hold on one second.
And this is full circle for me too, because Shannon, as I said earlier, was the one who held my hand for when I started the Startup Life live show. Nikki created the great looks, but I didn't even have this branded image from then.
No. Okay. So, interesting. It looks so good. I mean, and so talk about that with the live streaming piece too. I really hope that people do get more comfortable, because that is the way, like, for people to just see what you're about.
Brands.
And not be too caught up in, I've got to be perfect, because.
But also brands, if you want to connect emotionally, that brand promise that you want to deliver to folks, be part of a live stream. Sponsor Startup Life Live if you want. You know what my niche market is. But if you want to start a live stream and you are a solopreneur with your brand, it is the best way to connect with people, because you're constantly building the most important thing you can do, which is build trust. Yep. And then on top of that, you have this connection that you really can't create any other way. But, you got to know how to press the buttons and figure it out. I'm so proud of Eric. He, started his show. And as he said, once a week, it was like, my God, afterwards, he'd have to take a nap. It was just so intense. but
it can be. Yeah.
yeah.
And you said you figured that out. I remember doing the shows on Friday. And then once in a while, I would go and go to like a networking event, and then I would just get there and just like a puppet. Somebody dropped my puppet strings, and I would just be so worn out. And once I finally realized that as an outgoing introvert,
Yes.
that it took too much out of me during the day to do that, so I could not plan things
Right.
at night. And so once I realized that, really realizing I was a ambivert. Is the
ambivert right there with you.
Yes.
Right there with you.
Totally.
Thank you, Eric. And Eric,
That's
if you want to come in, I can private message you too if you're feeling like it.
And Shannon, I texted it to you and then sent it by Facebook Messenger too.
Yay.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be fun.
There he is, everybody.
Hi guys, how are you?
Brahimi.
What's up?
So happy to see you. Oh my gosh.
Thank
Big
you for
hug.
having me.
Absolutely.
Oh,
It's like the guest star.
So look at this, Shan. 6 years ago to the day, practically. We were in our. We didn't remember this until I already booked her everything. We had our Santa hats on.
God, I can't. When 2014? Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was December 23rd. And Mia has her tiara on too.
Right, that's right. I forgot you used to wear the tiara
with the Google Plus. And so when I love that I would wear the hat, but then it would just keep moving everywhere. Remember that?
I do remember that. That was like one big happy family on Google Plus back in the day.
That's right.
Yeah, we had a good time on that platform.
Yeah.
So everybody, you see Shannon set up, everybody? Look at this.
There it is.
Is this your home studio, Shannon?
Yeah, this is my home studio. I mean, if I move the camera around, it's kind of a mess today, so just forgive me, but there's all the stuff right there.
That's how it works.
Okay, go in on that soundboard right there. That's where he really creates magic.
Yeah, that's it right there. But it's not as difficult and it's not as complicated as you would think. A lot of that stuff to create podcasts is all done in post-production, how I make it sound or whatever. So I see a lot of these people in these groups on Facebook and podcasting communities, and they're just like, oh yeah, you got to get this equipment, you got to get that equipment. And I'm like, not necessarily. You just need just the little bit of a know-how of how to operate an app, and you're pretty much set to go.
Absolutely. But you're right you do want to fork out a little money on the audio, folks. And when you're on a browser platform like StreamYard, it's so important to clean your cache, i.e. reboot your device before you go live.
Turn off Dropbox, turn off anything running in the background.
Exactly. I do a monthly pitch event where we have 5 founders who have 99 seconds to pitch their business. So we've got that going on, right? Then we have to take questions from the audience, and then we bring in the expert, and the expert asks questions, and then AJ and I are hanging out and talking. It's a lot, and it's very bad. I gotta
hand it to Mia. You got to check this out. I gotta hand it to Ande, because I remember when she first started this particular program, and I remember that she was shaky on ice, and it was. And she wasn't too sure about it. I mean, I don't know if that's okay to say, Ande, but I mean,
that's what you were saying before. That's why we were talking about you. Just more like that you helped her. Yeah. Yeah.
And so over the course, has it been a year since you've been doing this, Ande?
No.
Has it been 2 years?
No, I just started. You and I did our first show together. It was March 31st.
It was a year. It was almost a year then, right? Coming up on a year. So
48.
So all I remember was that we sat down. I was actually in the living room over here. And that was when I guess nothing had started yet. I don't think the pandemic had started yet. Had it?
Yes, I was shut down. Not where you live, but where I live. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And so all I remember is I did the live stream, and she was shaky on ice, Mia. And then over the course of the months, then I see her promoting or whatever, and I'll pop in every now and again, and I'll just kind of see, and I'm like, she's a damn pro at this point. And I'm like, man.
She had like one day when her skates were going like this, and then that was it, right?
Yeah, she was like this, and now she's just like flying along. So I got to hand it to you, Ande. I mean, for you to continue to keep doing this and providing the value, the intentional value behind everything with this, I think is huge.
Thank you so much. I'm going to pull up the number one here. I just had to find it, everybody. And folks, even someone like me who can, have a conversation over the vegetables at the grocery store with perfect strangers or with the vegetables themselves. It's still really, it's hard to put yourself out like this. And even though I've raised 4 businesses, it's still, you're putting yourself out to say, I am going to be here and I'm going to talk about this stuff. And I don't care if well, I do care, but you don't want it to be just you want to touch one person,
right.
But I have to do it with a guest. It's just much more comfortable for me to enhance somebody. Right. But here it is. There we were, Tuesday.
Yeah, there it is. Tuesday, March 31st. Wow. I thought that was a year ago for some reason. I don't know why.
Listen, we've lived many lifetimes right now in 2020.
The time-space continuum is a little goofy now, folks.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely.
I just, everything that within this year, I mean, helping you, Ande, and then helping all these other people who have started their podcast. I know Mia had reached out to me, and it just was not in the stars for me to help her out. She found someone else equally qualified, but I know that this has been the year to create content.
It is. And just so you know, too, the lead up to that as well is that you had been helping TJ with a friend of mine with his podcast. I mean, and for like the last couple of years, like 4 or 5 years ago, you were helping TJ, and then I watch and consume all your content too. So that is the thing that you made it palatable for people to do it, as opposed to, like you're saying, there are some folks who do like to set up that like, whoa, don't get started. Like, stop it.
Yeah, it's just
stop it.
And the beauty of when you have someone like Shannon helping you with your podcast, folks, and trust me, I had someone help me. I launched a podcast in June of 2012, and I had that person help me the entire 52 weeks in a row. And then I was ready to go over to Blog Talk Radio, but I was shaking in my boots. Then it just took, again and again and again, and I didn't even have to get dolled up for that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of podcasting. I mean, I don't know. Like, I get that. I get what it means for women who get in front of the camera. I get that. I understand that they want to look nice. I understand that they want to be presentable in front of a camera. Whereas dudes like me just throw on a hat, put your hair up in a man bun.
You said that earlier, by the way. Andy's like, we need a video of like women, like right side by side, women getting ready for the whole thing, and then men getting ready. And like, I think it would be like 2 seconds, the men are like there and the women are still like moving around.
Yeah, but I understand it. I get it. And I understand.
I wouldn't change it. I get it. Right.
Listen, my boys will tell you, I get up so I can get made up. So that's not a problem for me.
9 times out of 10, when I'm coming in here to build content, I have gotten up after going to bed at like 2 a.m, and I've gotten up at 9, and there's still sleep in my eyes, and I'm over here and like I'm drinking my morning drink, and I'm just kind of like whatever. And then I got to record, and then it's like go time. And little do they know, what is it that you used to say, Mia? You used to say, "What's on bottom."
What's on the bottom? Yep, we talked about that. Yeah,
9 times out of 10, it was very slim.
I just want to tell Eric, I just sent you the link in LinkedIn private messenger because I can't get on my phone right now. But I can also put into Facebook if that would be easy for you.
Yeah. Well, now we're just going to make it a little cocktail party.
Absolutely. This is the end of 2020. I mean, I'm not going to be seeing any, folks on live until next year.
Yeah.
And we took a couple of months off with our pitch deck competition as well, because it was just, as AJ said, it was so much easier when we just showed up on the 20th floor of 50 State Street than it was to prepare for a live virtual pitch event. I don't know why.
Can I ask? Go ahead, Mia. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, what was it? Because it's always interesting to see what is, and this may be what you're going to ask too, Brahim, of like, what throws people for a loop and what doesn't. Like, why? Like for me, a live event, I have to say I'm very comfortable as an ambivert, not doing a bunch of going out. Oh, there he goes. Shannon's in the same boat.
I pick up on everybody's energy. I come home and I'm too empathic. Whereas talking to the camera, easy breezy.
It is. It is a nice buffer.
Yeah. And so it is a buffer. So I can have, meaningful conversations. And I know this to be true with our son, who is a gamer and getting his degree, just wrapping up his degree in game design. And from day one, we couldn't go to the movies. He just picked up on so many vibes. But my gosh, does he have a posse online?
Sure.
He is a wild man. So I want you to meet Eric, you guys. We're going to add him in because along with Shannon, who held my hand, Eric Shannon was the one I called afterwards and said, I don't know. I think I was too scared on the ice skates. Unmute
Right.
yourself, Eric.
Oh my gosh.
So Eric was the one that held your hand through.
Well, he said, do it one more time. So after I did your episode, we have to unmute you, Eric.
He was throwing the little treats, like, just keep going, keep going further, right? And she's like, okay, one more time, fine.
I think you can do one more, Ande. Right, Eric?
I just said do one more. That's it. That was the simple advice that I had. Do one more. You can't know anything after doing it one time.
Yep.
And you heard Shannon talking about how I was like the skates and the knees, and I was so nervous. But Shannon, Eric is he's a neighbor. He's the next town over, and his company, Media Prepared, helps people be prepared for when the mic is put in their face, so that they have something to say. So if you're a CEO or you're head of a big department, or you're a founder and you're getting, the journalists are starting to call on you. Well, Eric, you tell everybody.
Well, no, Ande, you've done a great job. I would say that in a phrase, I just try to help people be the best version of themselves when it matters the most. And it's really about mindset. And I have a hashtag that I use all the time, which is command your moment, right? So it's really just about being in the moment, being your best self, and being able to talk freely about yourself, your brand, your product. Tell your story, be your most authentic self, and really engage more in a conversation more so than an interview where you're being interrogated. You're having a conversation. It's a back and forth.
Well, and this is what Shannon and Mia do brilliantly. And this is why I was so, even though scared, I knew having Shannon would keep me calm, because Shannon could take over.
Talk you through it.
I don't know. When we first did that first StreamYard live stream, I just know that's where your headspace was gonna be. I just knew exactly where your headspace was gonna be. And guys like me who've been doing radio for ages, you just know where to pick up and how to keep moving and keep going forward. In fact, it's funny that I'm on this live stream right now, because I was literally an hour ago on another live stream in downtown Phoenix with my buddies who do a podcast on their own. So it's a totally opposite of a business podcast. It's
Right.
total raunchy podcast, but I mean, what we were being raunchy that today, but those guys understand that element of keeping the conversation moving along. And that is just, I think, a practice that you have to get used to over the course of time, over the course of, presenting over time. And so it's just not something that happens for people like right away. And I think a lot of people, when, whether it be you, Ande, or it be Eric, or whether it be Mia, sometimes you just don't know. You just don't know how to carry that conversation. So you also have to know when to stop the conversation, and that's difficult.
Oh, but Mia does it alone. At least I can enhance my guess and go, and tell me more. And Mia gets up there, solo screen, talks to the chat room. She goes, oh, okay. Oh, hi. And and she leans over. Oh, yeah, that's great. And then, I was thinking, and and everybody's talking back. Like she's out to having, cocktails with them. I tried that. I tried to do that Andelicious Monday moment thing. I was just like, please.
But you know what? That's part of it, is finding what's that sweet spot, because that's the thing we've seen. And Shannon, we've all seen it too. And there's the people that are like super awkward, that are trying to be funny, And you're like, dude, please, for the love of God, stop that. Right. Or just finding that's if your dry sense of humor is the piece, and that's great. But I want to shout you out, Ande. You're very good at it, because I'm such a I'm such a critic of people that interview folks and then they're just listening and they're not listening to the answer. And then they ask the next question. I lose my mind. I'm like, you haven't even acknowledged what they just said.
What was that?
No,
I'm kidding.
So anyway, doesn't it drive you nuts though? You're just like, oh,
Absolutely.
my word.
This is why I have my new thing right here. Stitch that on a pillow for when one of my guests says something really profound. But Eric helped me with that. He said, you got to bring some more liveliness to the show. So I'll talk, I'm having an Andy-licious moment, or, prove that value prop, that type of thing, just to sort of keep things going back and forth. But, so Eric, following all of this, launched his own live show, had never done that before. He's always on the other side of the camera. What was it like when you did your first show, Eric?
It was, I go back and I look at that show all the time because it was not very good at all. It was, it was kind of a blur. I don't even really remember doing it.
Yeah.
And, and you said, Ande, excuse me, you said exactly right. I've always been a producer and also a media trainer. So I'm on the other side of the camera telling you what to do. And if nothing else, my show has allowed me to practice a little bit of what I preach. People, I'm sure, come to you guys too all the time and say, hey, I'm thinking I want to do, make some videos or do a vlog or do a live show. And, how do I do it, or what should I do? And it's just like, just do it. Just start. It doesn't have to be perfect. I always say about my own show, it's imperfect, but it's improving. And I'll probably always be able to say that, right? You can always do some more things. So
who do you have on tomorrow, Eric?
So tomorrow is a special holiday edition, and I'm calling it the 12 Bites of Christmas. So it's some sips and bites from the season. And I've set up this, I've been working with my production value. I've set up this whole thing that I've never done before that I'm going to try to do in a live stream in terms of how I present in the production value, and having a second camera and having some food elements and some drink elements. So
fancy.
There's going to be a lot of moving pieces, and I don't know if it's going to work or not.
I'm excited.
I want to see
but we're going to try it.
Yeah.
Well, please, you guys.
Yeah.
You
Everybody,
guys are
it's Wednesday,
invited.
1 p.m. EST, everyone. And Shannon, are you going to just, on your podcast, is it going to be a consistent date and time? Are you doing that? Or
Yeah.
tell us more about that.
I had to switch up my days in which I was releasing my videos and my podcasts, because my videos tend to do a lot better on YouTube. There's a lot more that goes involved with that. A lot of SEO that
Are
goes
you up to almost 10,000 followers, right? Subscribers?
Yeah, I'm almost
bro,
10,000 subscribers. Yeah.
Wow.
There it is.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate that. And so it's a matter of, did you have little hand claps?
Yes, you did.
I love it. I love it.
I have lots of them.
I need to get some of those.
I do too.
But the whole point of it is to release the video and then promote the podcast, to cross promote what I need to do. So those will be 2 pieces of content that I'll be releasing. Heavier pieces and pillar content, and then I'll be releasing little pieces of micro content on Instagram and on Facebook page. But I do have other strategies that I have in mind to build that podcast following. But the beauty of, I don't know if it's the beauty of the podcast, and everyone has like a different way in which they present their content. Eric is definitely different from me, definitely different from Mia, and definitely different from you. When I do a 10-minute video on YouTube, there's only so much that you can say within 10 minutes, because people are watching YouTube videos, boom, 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 like that. And they're just going.
Consuming.
Yeah,
they're just consuming. And whereas a podcast, someone tends to inundate or envelop themselves into the content itself.
Oh, yeah. They settle in like that. Yeah. I know that's how how I am as well too, because then I know like, okay, I've got this very specific thing. I'm not going to go from this to this. I'm just going to like the old timey show thing. You know what I mean? Like I got to watch my shows, you know. Tune in from my
Here's a good piece of advice for that. If it's not so visual, whenever I have a conversation that blows my mind, you know, I save the audio because StreamYard does nice audio.
Yes.
And repurpose it. I mean, I have a pile to repurpose. I haven't done them yet, but to repurpose into the podcast. So then it's there on Stitcher and Spotify and Apple for people to consume there as well. So that's just a tip for if anybody is still hanging out and watching us. And if you are, we need to know something really important here, which is what
are you drinking?
Yeah.
Sorry.
What are you drinking? What's in your BYOB?
Well, since I've just met Eric first, I need to know what he's got first.
Yeah.
So I have a little bit of bourbon. It's called Basil Hayden.
Dang.
And it's actually going to be part of my show tomorrow. But
good.
And I made these. I bought this spherical ice maker. So I'm going to debut this spherical ice.
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah, we got
those are cool.
The giant 1 cube. Yeah. Dude. How happy does that make all of us, by the way? We're all like, ooh, that's fancy.
Mia, show Eric what you used for ice. Did you see this earlier, Eric, what Mia used for ice?
Oh, and so I just went outside.
The snow, yes.
Yes, I did, and it's still hanging in there, by the way. I got a little bit of snow left because we didn't have that many.
I cut you off, Eric, on that. So what's the name of that again that you're drinking?
Basil Hayden, bourbon.
I got to tune in for this. And I'm totally
bourbon at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Even earlier in Colorado time.
It's
Eric, I'll be waking up around that time. So
Perfect.
I would just like to point out the perfect beard game that the two guys have got going on. Do you see like we got like the matching awesome beard game?
Okay, so can everybody smile for a second at the camera because I'm going to do a quick camera shot. Okay. Oh yeah, grab your whatever. 3, 2, 1, and excellent.
Yes.
Happy.
I'm not as exciting as you guys.
Shut it.
Like there is no alcohol in this. I don't even drink alcohol.
No, you don't. Bro, it's been what, like 5 years?
No, it's been pretty long time. This is mud water. This is like a coffee replacement.
Oh, I heard that's really good.
Yeah, so I'm drinking mud water right now.
Okay, I just want to point out one thing that you said, though, to go back to it, because I read everything down. When you said intentional value, by the way, I just have to point that out, because if you thread everything into intentional value, then all your stuff, no matter how goofy or serious you are, is the shiznit.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
I'm just saying. I'm just quoting you back to you, Shannon.
I put that actually in my podcast that I put out today.
Dude.
That talked about intentional value. I talked about the value of I think the struggle with a lot of podcasters is trying to get people to listen and get people to download, because there's not that Google, YouTube algorithm working for them unless they're putting that stuff on their website. So I talk a lot about email marketing and starting an email list and building an email list, and that's how you will start getting the word out. That's just one of many pieces.
You're so good at that email.
Yeah, that is, because you're full meal deal, dude. When you do that, it's pretty cool, because I think a lot of people just do the different pieces and parts, but I think they do get caught up in that numbers game too. Size queen, as I like to say.
Yeah, size queen.
We were talking about that earlier. Put a yellow sticky over the numbers, especially with a podcast, folks. I mean, I talked to a local podcaster, and they were saying, yeah, I spend 10 hours a week so I can get 20 listens. You've got to be into it for the value, for the content. But can we talk a little bit about that email business, Shannon, with you? Because this is where I dropped the ball big time, is on the emails. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm so grateful you downloaded the investor questions and that you got the slides, my 7 favorite slides, and or you visited my website and you signed up for my email. I have to do a better job going forward.
So what do you mean by like a better job? Are you talking about the
I'm lucky if I get it out once a month.
Oh, yeah.
I
Well,
feel like you put out so much. It's so good. Not, I don't mean so much. I mean, it just seems like a perfect drip campaign that you have going on. But there's always a piece that we're missing, right?
yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time, especially within 2020. I had to revamp a lot of my email marketing campaigns. I revamped a lot of them,
Yeah.
and a lot of those are really just tests. They're tests to see if someone is that interested to purchase a guide, or if they're purchased to take the next step to hire me or do whatever they need to do. And so I've gone through and I have made it a point to put that as a priority within those particular pieces of my marketing mix. And so when it comes down to the, I guess, communication and trying to remain relevant with those audiences, it's going to be one email a week. And it's just going to say, okay, I've built this one big piece of pillar content and here it is. And that's really all it is. That's all I have to do is to put it out. I have built out other pieces to put into that email campaign. So I have now parsed it out a little bit just to test it out, just to see what it does. So it's like the podcasting game. You just go in and you just create it, you test it out and see if it works.
I love that about you. Hey, Mia Voss, be good to people.
Oh, Mia got a beard too. The beard game.
Yeah, her worst half, right?
Who are you?
Charley Stivers. Nice to meet you,
Hi,
Andy.
Charley. So delicious to
And
meet
Eric,
you.
nice to meet you.
Eric
Hello,
is
good to meet you, Charley.
Yeah, and Shannon,
What's up, bro?
keep on rocking.
Good to see you, Charley.
You
so
too.
good to see you. I see you in photos all the time. But
Yeah.
Charley, you've got such a twinkle in your eye always.
Charley is the guy behind the guy. That's who it is. He's
Okay.
the guy behind Mia Voss.
A lot of masculine energy from this one, right?
I mean, if there are three people in there, you'd be the guy behind the guy behind the guy.
Just the guy behind the guy.
I like that's an inside joke.
Yeah, no.
No? Oh, okay.
Hey guys, I just want to say that no false drinking, Glenlivet 15 single malt. Okay, so you're a
That's
fancy
good
fancy.
stuff.
That
No,
is-
that's good
Nice.
stuff.
that's really
That's
good.
serious business right there. Yeah.
And Mike Henley, I don't know if you guys know Mike. He is an artist, and he'll start an Instagram live showing his blank piece of paper, and he starts to draw. It is mind-boggling and blowing.
Oh, I
He's got
love that.
He's got a great YouTube channel.
What
So
is
Mike-
his handle?
Oh yeah, be sure to share that in the comment threads, would you, Mike? What we're doing is this is just the last show of the year. We're hanging out with people we love and adore. Mia and I started the show off talking about silver linings because 2020 has really thrown many of us for a loop. But among the devastation are these beautiful silver lining moments. So if you have something that happened to you this year that was, wow, but that was a silver lining, we'd love for you to share it in the comment thread. So we're just hanging. And these two are buckling up, which is great.
We are
See, it's literally the guy behind the guy.
the guy with the girl with the guy.
The guy behind the girl.
Exactly.
Andy, this is so interesting that you're doing this because I had this idea of just starting a live stream and inviting people in as they show up, or if they indicate that, if they come in or they make a comment, I want to just invite them in and see how, StreamYard only lets you have about 9 other people, but I wanted to see if I could fill the room in a live stream just for fun.
It's so much fun.
It's what we did back in the day on Google Plus.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah.
Right.
When she and I started dating, she was still doing that, and I got to meet a lot of your ex-Google Plusers.
Blab. So that was 4 years ago. So everybody came over from Google to Blab. And
That's right.
Nazim,
right.
Chocolate Johnny.
Nazim, Chocolate Johnny, Chef Dennis, like all the folks.
We all did it. And then I think I finally just said, this isn't working. It's really important to have good technology. And I think, Eric, that's a great idea, except that you have to understand this being a browser platform. When you add more audio into the deal, it sometimes can get a little shaky. But at the same time, we got all pros here. You're set up as a
People
pro,
still
Shannon.
don't have Zoom etiquette.
No.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's interesting that you say that because I'm always looking for stream optimization. I've been playing around with OBS, playing around with my backgrounds and all of my stuff. And one little tip that I will give to people is that, particularly now because everybody basically has smart TVs, turn your TV off, because your internet is being fed into your TV, whether you're using it or not. It's taking away from your bandwidth.
Wow.
Turn your TV off. Yeah, that just gives you, I want to pack my bandwidth. I want to have all my bandwidth available to do all of my, fun things that I like to do, show my, my little promos there and
you use Prezi too, don't you?
I do use Prezi. And I do all of these, I try to do all of these things to just try to enhance the space, right? I'm all about maximizing this space right here. So OBS, I've been playing around with it. When you see the show tomorrow, you're going to see I'm literally going to be changing locations virtually, depending on if I'm presenting a sip or a bite of the 12 bites of Christmas.
Ooh, you had me.
Can we talk about, I should probably put it in the private chat. Can we talk about one of your ideas that percolated for virtual?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So let me bring up Mike for a second, everybody, because we were just talking about him. Also, 43 podcast episodes done. Thanks, Shannon, for the early inspiration over a year ago.
Oh, you're welcome.
Nice.
That is awesome, man. Yeah, salute. That.
God,
That's
awesome. Come on, let's just soak that in.
Awesome. I know. Hold on, let me get my.
And then it's just go to Mike Henley on Instagram. And
I just followed him on Instagram. Actually.
Great, awesome. That is so great. So Eric came up with this great idea from the devastation of everything going on, which is the fact that when someone passes, you cannot have a memorial service. How can you do this for such a sacred moment? And so, Eric, please share the idea that you came up with, because he's so good with different video cameras.
Yeah. So the basic concept is called virtual visitation, and virtual visitation is partnering with funeral directors and getting them to just, in the most basic sense, set up devices that they can connect to me through StreamYard, and then I will, conduct the stream and send it either to a web page or to a Facebook page, wherever wherever StreamYard allows, but also bring in a lot of this, sort of virtual activity. So you could run a memorial, you could run a slideshow. You never know.
Mini movie.
Yeah,
sure. Oh.
You never know that I'm there.
And so the person grieving doesn't have to be doing it, because
absolutely not.
What was happening was so many people were trying to share their loved one's story, and for all the
on
right.
Zoom, and Zoom's never been built for that. And with StreamYard, people will comment, then you bring the comments in, and it's sort of like a virtual sign-in book. And then a few that I do at the end, as the service is wrapping up, I just go back through all of the comments and put them each up for 5 seconds, almost like a credits at the end, so that those last tributes come in as it ends. And then you have a video if you want it. One of the challenges I actually have is when I'm talking to funeral directors. It's a very traditional industry. It's almost exclusively family owned, with a patriarch or a matriarch that really makes all decisions. And invariably what they ask is to see an example. And I will never share an example. I will never use someone's service as a marketing tool. So I tell them that, and surprisingly, they all appreciate that. It's almost like they're doing a test, but I could never take someone's service and use it as a marketing tool. So I say, look, I can show you, I can give you some examples. I mean, we can work and do some trials, but I can never show any of my work, so to speak.
That's so cool.
No doubt. No doubt. Hold on.
And Mia, I know I've been keeping you way too long, and we can wrap this up. But I just want to thank you guys, and thank you, Eric, for sharing that visual and that inspiration. Because I remember we were sitting in our backyard, physically distanced, because Eric is a neighbor, so he can come over for wine or coffee, and we have a nice.
He's that close of a neighbor.
Yeah, yes. He can come over and.
I thought you were just like next town neighbor. Like, he's like on the next suburb neighbor. Like,
no, very close.
Right there.
He's a car ride. He is a car ride. But still, we were chatting. He was telling me about this, and he was also helping teachers with creating better ways of communicating their content as well. And, again, here's a guy in your situation, Eric, that everything came to a screeching halt because Massachusetts got shut down big time right away. And before anybody even had their arms wrapped around what is the pandemic, we were done. We couldn't get toilet paper. And so I just love that how it helped you find other ways to make revenue, and it was a silver lining for you. How about you, Shannon, during this last year? What has been your big silver lining since the pandemic? Because Arizona suffered horribly.
We're still suffering, which is crazy.
And late adopters to the pandemic as a concept, as a reality.
Yeah, I mean, we still are at this point. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, you can go out onto the street right now and someone may wear a mask, someone may not be wearing a mask. I mean, it's just it's a weird thing that is going on here. People just don't it's just strange. There are a lot of flags that are flying in the neighborhoods and a lot of cruelty that happens. But to go back to this question that you asked, Ande, is it the silver lining for me was on more, I don't know if it has to be business, I guess business or personal.
Oh, personal, whatever that looked like.
For me, and it's the one thing that I have been talking about for quite some time for the last few months has been I took up a yoga routine, believe it or not.
I'm sorry.
And so what's that?
Bra stretch.
Bra stretch, yeah. At the beginning of the pandemic, and especially when we started recording, Ande, I was suffering from a bad sciatic back, lower back, and it was killing me. And there were points in time where in like April, May, I was just lying on my bed, and it was just debilitating for me. And then in July, I remember it was so hot here in Phoenix that we had like a month-long stretch of like 100 like maybe a week stretch of like 117 degrees every day, no rain. And so it's not only hot, but my back was killing me. But I had been doing this yoga routine, and that helped alleviate the pain in my lower back. But I found a whole new perspective on life and patience, with learning how to hold a pose, learning how to concentrate on your balance. And there are just a lot of these newfound discoveries that I had experienced at one point in time with normal exercise, but not like how I did with yoga. And so I unlocked a whole new set of, I guess, revelations for myself. And so it has helped me with, I think, the business side of things. Things have been slow for me as far as business is concerned, but I've also learned that, and it was something that you guys were talking about earlier. I was listening to you while I was in the car. You were talking about finding an audience or finding the right client that you do want to serve and that you do help out. And that perspective came through and came to light in one of my yoga sessions. And I was just like, wow, I was like, not all the time is that one person willing to spend the money that it is going to take to come and work with me. And that's fine. That's completely fine, because I want to work with the person who does want to, it's not spend money, but invest their money and their time with me.
Yep. And that investment is huge. You have to make it. You have to spend money to make money, period. End of story. But Shannon, I see it in your face, darling. When you popped up tonight, I went, I want to know what happened.
Yeah.
Because there's a strain that has released.
Yeah, those voices that I would get when I would get the message, that's what you got, because you took that time to quiet your mind.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah,
Wow.
a lot of people here in Arizona, a lot of my friends, and I don't know how it is in your guys' parts of the country, but a lot of people here, as you can imagine, I mean, I would still say we are a very Republican state.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have been hanging on to this idea of getting back to normal. And I can't wait for concerts to come back. I can't wait for events to come back. I can't wait for venues to open up. And me, I took the complete opposite approach. And I said, I'm going to not worry about the concerts. Yeah, it's something that I do worry about being in the industry.
Right.
But this gives me now an opportunity to shut down, slow down, and focus and refocus where my personal efforts need to go as far as where I want to see myself in a year from now. There's still people who are still stuck in this rut that they've been in since March. And they're like, I just can't stand this. And they blame everything on 2020. And I just think, myself, you can't blame everything on 2020. You can only blame yourself for not taking that action.
That's right. So, that clock's not restarting.
Right.
No,
next Thursday or Friday. And for you to say that, being in the rock station concert industry, in a sense, like that's huge too, just to say, okay, that's not, that you have to create whatever this new normal is. And that old stuff it hasn't worked. There's so much that hasn't worked. So
I watch The Voice. I like it as a reality show. I like Blake. I love Gwen and everybody. But what I love was how they took the pandemic and made it work for their show. So they were really into the bubble to keep everything safe. There was no hugging.
Yeah.
There was that 6-foot rule was big time. It was more like 10 foot.
Mm-hmm.
They brought in on all the little frames, the audience. So they had an audience, but they were in little frames on the wall. So they had that vibe and that feeling, but they weren't in the room. So they did so many creative things to still showcase, there is, and we see it in so many different ways in work. And I saw a woman leader out of Toronto and watching how she communicated to her team of like 200 people. Here she is, the CEO. And it was so powerful watching her on Zoom, share her emotions over how we're not going to be working together for a while. This is how it's going to be. But she also just looked at everybody and said, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden people are asking, how are you doing? And I think especially for parents who are trying to, I call it parenting while pandemicking or pandemicking while parenting, that's tough. But to get to your point, Shannon, going back, no, this is how it is. And if anybody has had in life a big honk in one of these, hold on, let me just bring this up, switcheroos, that you don't go back to quote normal. It's going to be different. 2 major corporations just pulled out of Manhattan. One of the big brokerage firms and then Deutsche Bank pulled out.
Oh, and like Trump's personal banker gal, she's like, I'm out as of 12/31. Like everybody is jumping.
But you think about the commercial real estate, Mia. Boston, you can still get a parking space anywhere. But when we went out Saturday night to see what the fresh fallen snow looked like with the city lights, everybody was masked up. And there were a lot of people out enjoying the fresh evening and the air and the snow and in the Boston public garden. One person out of hundreds didn't have a mask.
Who's the idiot?
Yeah, the
jackass.
Yeah, you would not think that was the case here in Arizona.
Yeah.
It's in Phoenix, central Phoenix itself, people mask up. Yeah. But in the suburbs, it's an option. It's an option. It's a mandate in some areas where my parents live.
Yeah.
It is not mandated. And I've had 2 funerals to attend this year, which is funny that Eric brings up that, that idea of, doing these services. And I thought that would have been a really great idea for both my aunt's funeral services. But because when I went up there, no one was masked up, and people make fun of people who are wearing masks.
Jesus.
And so you look like you're castigated for.
Charley just said mask holes.
yeah, they're maskholes. You're castigated for just being precautious. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And I don't like that idea. I don't like that someone makes fun of someone for wanting to take a little bit of extra precaution, not just for themselves but for someone else.
Yeah,
and the hardest thing I think here in Arizona.
I bet. And we're a purple state, so we used to be super red in Colorado, and now we have so much representation here, which is awesome. But I will be excited to see, you guys, what's going to happen. Not that it's going to be a magic pill after January 20th, but I think having people like Pence go down to Florida today and fly down there to a super spreader event that was 2,000 people. All the while he just got now we're getting into it, but he just got the vaccine, but he still goes to an event. So I think not having this spotlight on an administration that doesn't jive at all. I'm excited to see. I'll say that. I'm excited to see where the mindset will go once we don't have a constant barrage of message BS.
Agreed. I'm looking forward to not knowing sort of what the minute by minute, blow by blow accounting of our highest offices of government are doing. That'll be a relief. I'm going to have faith.
For the last 4 years, right?
Well, wait till we get off this Zoom. Trump's up to a couple things. That just made
I've been looking at it.
Yes, Eric's like, you've had your finger on.
I don't even know.
And I have a natural and healthy skepticism of government, but not so much that I can't say, you know what, go do what you are supposed to do. And when things we need to know about things, we'll you'll come to us. I trust you to come to us and let us know, and that sort of thing, as opposed to this minute by minute, tweet by tweet, blow by blow accounting. It's not healthy. It's not productive.
No.
It's the opposite. It's the opposite.
Yeah. The hardest thing for me, and I think a lot of founders can feel this way because we're such problem solvers. That's how we get up every day. It's all about solving that problem. Right. I got so tired. I don't know how many times I said it on Twitter. Could we not talk about the problem? Can we please talk about the solution? How come everybody's, I'd like to stay focused on not all that negative. Let's focus on where we're going and the positivity. And we've got 80 some million people who are thinking with us that way. We can coalesce.
There was a guy at the radio station I used to work with. I hope that's not foreshadowing anything. There's a guy that used to work with me at the radio station, is what I meant to say. And he was very much in that mindset of what you're talking about, Andy, where he didn't like focusing on the problem. He liked focusing on the solution. He identified the problem, but he didn't harp on the problem. And so how he would always transition, he would hear your problem out and hear you gripe about it, blah, 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 blah. And then he would look at you and he'd go, okay, so moving forward, we're going to do this. And so it was a great transition. And so that is something that's like kind of a life hack that I have taken from him. When someone comes to me and is griping about something, and I just listen and I absorb and hear the problem. And then I go, okay, in my mind, I try to figure out, okay, well, how can we make this move forward? And I go, okay, now moving forward, how can we make this much better? And then people just look at you kind of with this shocked face, and they're like, wow, I didn't realize that he was going to do that.
Yeah, because most of the time you're either acknowledging the problem and that's it, or saying, oh, stop being so negative. Let's move on. And then so they don't even acknowledge any of this. And that's how a lot of these systemic things are going on, because it's more like, oh, don't be so negative. I'm like, nah, don't what about me with that of just
right. So, and there's a fine line. So it's, acknowledging
about the balance. Yeah. It's not that I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about the solution. But this reminds me, I forgot to tell you, my other silver lining for me was voter awareness. Like, I will say, as laborious as this year has been, I have never been so aware of how the process works. Wow. So I'm taking it. I'm taking it as a gift.
We have all gone to church on civic duty, right?
We've gone to church on civic duty.
We've gotten our Eagle Scout badge. I have an Eagle Scout for a son.
Badge. I want a badge.
And it was funny from all of this, because I remember, I'm probably more independent than anything else as far as political stance is concerned, but I lean probably more liberal than anything else. And what I had noticed when Trump had gotten elected, everyone was excited who had voted for him. And I was like, okay, no, that's cool. I mean, I get it. I just knew that even though, as I don't know if you would call it, I don't want to say it was a tumultuous 4 years, but it was definitely challenging, a definite challenge of the last 4 years. I knew from the beginning of that, I just said to my friends who were more independent, I said, this is a good thing that he got elected. And they're like, how could it be a good thing? This is such a negative thing. I go, no, this is definitely a good thing, because I believe this enacts more people to get out and be more active in, civic duty. And they just didn't agree with me. And fast forward to 4 years, I mean, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of it up until the last year.
Sure.
Well, look at all the movements that were started. The Time's Up movement, BLM.
Time's Up. And yes, there's
so many things and awareness, but that voting suppression and really understanding that needs to be a right and made so much easier. And Stacey Abrams with her first fight, fair fight, and everything that she's been doing. Awareness.
Eyes are on Georgia.
Yeah. But you know what happened was during the Reagan years, they took civics out of the education system. And having watched our son go through the Eagle badge, getting his Eagle badge, his Eagle Scout, he had to go to a town meeting and see how it was run and report on it. Then he had to go to a state house meeting and see how that was run and understand how people were voted in. But he had to start at the town level. Who's the town manager? What's his council? All these people? And I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about all this. And then how did they get elected? And then same thing in the state level and then in the national level. And then he had to look at world citizenship.
Wow.
And citizenship is a really powerful learning. It's how you don't take for granted that you are in the space that you're in. And what is my role as a citizen? And I think, and I've talked to Eric about this as well. We've learned a lot over the last 4 years on how this country works. What does that Constitution say? It's a small little book, but all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, okay. So I think that's a silver lining.
I know, even from being, I said it in the show, but living in Aurora and then learning with Elijah McClain what happened, and then going through and now I'm watching the city council meetings. Now I'm calling people.
Yeah. Now
we know the city council people's name. Now we know what Mike Hoffman's up to. Now I know what Phil Weiser's up to, David Young. I would have never known my local DA's name, but now being aware of it, I'm like, oh, this is.
But even how messed up our small municipalities are. I mean, it's so sad, just the bureaucratic BS we have to deal with and see. And
Chet and I have become so sensitive to the police situation that we can't watch any old cop shows because they're not treating that person right. It's like all of a sudden we have a deeper understanding.
That was what I was saying. Yeah, my blinders. And Eric, I don't know if you were in there for that part of it, but the blinders, the red pill, blue pill is my situation for 2020 of like what you can and can't unsee now of.
Right.
It's nothing new.
Yeah, well, the similarity between Elijah McClain and Breonna Taylor is that these were things that happened a little ways back and didn't have a lot of attention put on them. Only because of George Floyd, the people say, hey, wait a minute, these things were happening in my town. And you're right, the local politics is where a lot of the change can be affected. It's great to focus in on the state of Georgia. None of us live there. We understand the stakes there, but to affect real change, my opinion is that it starts with your own city council, your own police chief, your own representatives at your local and state level. It's good to be involved with national politics, but this is where the change happens, right in your own backyard.
If you're involved at that national level, it's way too late. Like if it's already gone to these right, or if it's already gone to these higher levels, it's way too late. So I think even just knowing the people's names, you're right, Eric, of just the local folks has been
So key.
interesting to see. And I did a lot of phone banking for not just like the bigger parties, but the local DA. That was some interesting.
Is that eye-opening or what? Thanks to you, I did some phone banking as well.
That's right. That's right. And I mean, even if you got one person that said, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I could mail in ballot," and you just are like, "That's one vote."
Oh my gosh. And giving them the number that they could call to get the help. So I was working on the state of Maine, right?
You did. That's right.
And I got to tell you, and I was doing landline calls, so not cells. So that was, I was I got some old Maynards, so, well, dear, I'm not going to be able to vote this year.
Well, Ande, I think it's so interesting that both you and Mia did phone banks, because watching you guys, and Shannon, I don't know, you were listening a little and watching a little. I mean, I'm looking at two kindred spirits, right? Two people who feel like they've known each other for all their lives and are like, like having a sleepover and talking after mom said turn the lights off and go to bed finally. You guys were just
I said turn the lights off. We totally were, but
which was really beautiful to see and experience from afar, that you guys just really just vibing out and just really having a conversation, not even really trying to accomplish these shows, but yeah.
We're gonna do this again. It's gonna be called Ande and Mia's, or Mia's and Andy's sleepover.
Right? Yeah, when we're in PJs.
Starts at 6 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah.
Right.
Although I cannot stay up past 9 o'clock now, so it's really got to start earlier.
I just reached that threshold this year of the 9 o'clock threshold. I work nights, and when 9 o'clock comes around, like I work till midnight, and when 9 o'clock comes around, it's just like trying to just get, you can't even get toothpicks to keep my eyes open. I'm just dying to stay awake, and it's just like, and then by the time I get home at midnight, I'm awake. So it's so hard.
I want to know, is anybody still watching live? If you are, say something in the comments.
This is like the old school, the Google Plus. I think the aging process is made up of us being made fun of for the stuff we made fun of older people.
100%.
When we were kids. It's all the stuff of like, remember I'd make fun of my dad, like falling asleep, like, oh dang.
Yeah, that's me now. Like I have my recliner now.
Enough said.
Right. Have my recliner, and I put a pillow back, and I just sit there and I watch TV, and then I'm out within like 5 minutes. And I'm like, man, I don't even have kids.
Yeah.
What's this about?
I know. That's why I have my show in the middle of the day.
Exactly. Thank you. And we graced each other with doing this later so we could drink. I think that was the only, like, how early can we have a drink? Well, we need to get her out. Eric, I want to watch tomorrow. Oh my gosh, that's going to be so fun.
I want to see the tricky, cool, innovative stuff that you're going to do to experiment, or you. I mean, I don't know if you guys know OBS, but my gaming son has been trying to get me to do OBS, and it's just like way too complicated, dude.
Is it too many bells and whistles, and
I don't know.
Like just Shannon soundboard times a million.
Oh yeah, it is. Well, I was using Wirecast for a client over a year ago, and Wirecast is just not only is it overwhelming, but it costs a lot of money to use, and so it's like it's just a little.
I bet it looks like Alien. We were watching Alien the other day when they walk into the console and there's all the buttons and all the lights. Like there's just like click, 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 click.
But the other thing, you've probably seen Brian Fonza do it, and Eric does it, is Prezio. So something just comes onto the screen, and it's like
I gotta do Prezio, dude, because that has stumped me for a while. So when you ask Eric that, I was like,
I almost subscribed, but I was like,
well, you guys are all, as friends of Ande, you are invited at your convenience to convene some time with me, I'd love to show you the tricks. Andy knows. Sometimes like, Andy, get on. I got to show you this. I got to show you that. If you guys want to know about Prezi, if you want to know about OBS, I mean, the thing to do is just to do it. I wasn't doing any of this at the beginning of the pandemic. And now it's like takes up most of my time.
That's amazing, though. Good for you on the learning curve. Dang.
I'm going to put Mia and Charlie into the big screen. Thank you, Goddess Mia, for joining me today, and Charlie for an incredible conversation. It was, I think Eric nailed it. It was like the sleepover.
It really was.
Turn the lights out. No.
I told you to turn those lights off and go to bed.
Eric's
what really got
the dad of a daughter, you can tell. And so grateful that you hopped in and shared your brilliance, Eric. Thank you ever so much. And then, of course, the man who, also got me started on this wonderful live show, Shannon Hernandez, who I've turned to many times since 2012 for guidance and love and a hug and all of that, and who I go and send folks to all the time. Thank you for this wonderful foursome, fivesome, 1, 2, 3, whatever. I can't even count now.
Charlie's the handler, he says. I'm just the handler.
I don't want to thank anybody who, watched to the end. I'm not going to do my usual calls to action other than, just remember.
I'm doing my own call to action now.
There it is.
There it is. Let me pull it up big screen. 12 bites of Christmas. Yay.
I'm following you on YouTube, Eric.
There you go.
Awesome.
Over there
like
right
that.
now.
And I want everybody to remember, you'll get an alert every time I put up a new show. And by just hopping onto Meetup, join the Meetup group, the Startup Life Live Meetup group. If you're still here and watching, God bless you. Nikki is going to create a calendar for me for the month because I'm booking out now way into February. So ways for people to download the calendar and stay abreast of the Startup Life Live show. Thank you, Eric, Mia, Shannon,
Thank you,
Charlie.
That was marathon.
That was like almost 3 hours of deliciousness.
I love it.
Serious, phenomenal. I didn't want it to end. I love you guys. Have a very happy, healthy holiday. Anybody who's still watching, I love you too. Thanks for tuning in. And salute to 2021.
Here you go.
There we go.
Get your mud out. Oh, and here's to toast, by the way.
Oh, yeah, toast. Thank you, Toast.
Yay.
Trust me, Mia's going to do an opening, and it'll be a wonderful opening experience.
And then start drinking.
Cool.
All right.
Okay.
And goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, honey. Thank you.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
And I forgot to hit end broadcast. How wonderful is that? Now here we go. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Mike Henley. That was awesome. Great to see all of you.